Sam Roberts.
What's going on, Kiefer? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm great. We're live, so make yourself comfortable, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
How's it going?
Really, really well.
Well, you have an album that's coming out on Friday, special edition album coming out on Friday.
Yeah.
So you've been doing more, or at least concentrating more on music than acting
Not really.
lately, because I feel like I see you
on
on television constantly, so I don't understand how much.
I think I had a couple people come up to me at some of the earlier shows 5 or 6 years ago and were like, oh my gosh, are you not going to work as an actor anymore? That's the love of my life, man.
It is.
I will want to do that to the day I die. The thing I found so interesting about music is not only am I a huge fan of music and live music, but for me, with songwriting, it was just another way to tell a story.
Yeah.
And what I've loved about acting is getting together with a group of actors and a director and a cinematographer, and what's the best way we can tell this story? It's very similar to get together with a band and a producer like Jude Cole. And what's the best way to tell this story? The big difference for me is, you know, on my best day, I'm not Jack Bauer, but that was a character, and a lot of people will know me from that. The songs that I write are actually very personal songs, and so that took a minute to get used to because I spent most of my life being very private, or trying to be, and all of a sudden I find myself in front of 500 strangers singing a song of the first time I got my heart broken, or this or that.
But do they know necessarily? Like,
yeah, because I tell them.
Right.
You know, I make a point of explaining kind of where I was at when I wrote the song and what I was going through, and once I leaned into that, the response that I had from an audience was just really extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I think on a good night, when you finish a show, whatever preconceived notion you might have had of the audience and whatever preconceived notion they might have had of you, if by the end of the show everybody's walking away realizing that we've got a lot more in common than we might have thought, that's a great night. And so, but
I would have to imagine it's pretty therapeutic too, right? To like kind of live this existence where you're like, no, I have to keep everything private. You know, they want to put articles out about me. Everything in my life, I'll keep over here and I'll keep away from everybody. And when you can figure out a way to kind of not break those walls down, let people into your life and realize that, oh, this is actually a good thing because people are going through shit on their own. It certainly is
cathartic. And I would have to say these 2 albums that I've made are the closest thing I have to a journal. But no, the experience has been amazing. But having said that, you know, I think we did 150 shows last year, but we also did Designated Survivor.
I know, that's what when I'm thinking you have this you have this series.
Yeah,
you know, you're the star of a series.
And we go back to Europe and we'll tour 30 dates there. And then I'll start shooting a film with Stephen Hopkins, who I did the original series of 24 with. So I'm very excited about that.
So you just love working. You love being on the move.
I have found for me that the downtime is when I get in trouble. And if I can just stay busy enough, then stuff kind of goes better for me. And I love what I do. I've always said this. I'm the luckiest person I know. I've been able to do what I love doing for a career, and 99.9% of the population doesn't.
Yeah.
And so I will never take that for granted. I'm grateful for those opportunities. And with regards to music, I love the band that I play with. And again, the experiences that I've had with the audiences that have been kind enough to come out to our shows has just really been extraordinary and moving for me.
Is there a control thing too, where when you are doing your music, ultimately, as much as you're working with a band and you're working with a producer, you're responsible for it. It's your stuff, whereas in a movie, a TV series, you're responsible for the acting, but that's more of a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, but I mean, both are team sports. They really are.
Yeah.
You know, I certainly don't have the musical knowledge of someone like Jude Cole, who produced both of the records, and I certainly don't have the playing skills or the singing skills that he has. You know, so I rely very heavily on other people, but you're absolutely right. I'm responsible for the finished product, and I have to either say, yes, this fairly represents what I wanted to accomplish.
Right.
But I have to say, I felt the same way about Designated Survivor and 24, and both shows I was producers on. So one of the lucky things for me is my career has evolved over the years. I've been given a little more room to have some input into what that final product is. And that's something that I've been grateful for. Because in that circumstance, look, if everybody hates it, you can still stand there and go, well, I'm sorry that everybody hates it, but I liked it for these reasons, and this is why I made those choices.
Right.
Whereas in early days, you kind of are left up to the wind, to see which way it blows, and hopefully, between the editors and the directors in the studio, that you all had a shared vision for it.
Have you ever had the experience where you're like, okay, I know I did a good job acting, the script looks good, I think this is going to be great, and then you go and see it and it's a stinker?
I've had that experience more than once. And it wasn't that I thought, oh, my acting was great or anything like that, but you put together a great cast.
Yeah.
The script is great because it attracted all of these great people. You've got a great director and the studio's behind you. And for whatever reason,
it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And that's a chemistry thing. If we could all figure out how to handle that or manage that or put that kind of in a bottle, it would be easy. Every film you would ever make would be successful.
They'd all be great, right?
But it's an amazing thing to see when it works and trying to figure out why. Like 24, I don't think any of us expected, certainly when we started, that it would ascend to the kind of show that it became. Having said that, there are other projects too that we just dumbfounded about why they didn't work.
Right.
What's most important, I think, as an actor or as an artist, is to be honest enough with yourself to be able to look at something and go, that did work, or that didn't work, and learn from that.
Yeah, are you good at when something doesn't work, whether it's your fault or not, specifically if it's not on you, if you just know, like, okay, the pieces, everybody was doing their jobs, the pieces didn't come together this time. Are you good at admitting that, or are you a guy who, like, takes it on himself?
I would think I'm quite pragmatic about understanding, because if you can't learn from something that wasn't successful, you're in real trouble.
Right.
And so I think the more honest you can be about trying to understand the reasons or variables that led to something being unsuccessful or not working, I think that's absolutely paramount to one's progression in what they do.
What was it like when 24 did what 24 did? And by that, I mean, you'd already done iconic stuff. Like, you already had your boxes checked off, where you had your stuff that people will remember you forever because of this, because of that. People had their favorites. But then you start doing something like 24, and this entire new wave of people not only has you, I mean, people still, I'm sure, see you on the street and call you Jack Bauer.
Yep. And I have to tell you, it was one of the most exciting times, because I had gone through, careers longer than I care to mention. But you go through moments where, certainly when I was young, Stand By Me, Young Guns, Lost Boys, Flatliners, A Few Good Men. I had a lot of films in a row that were very successful. And because I was so young, I just took for granted, okay, this is going to be the rest of your life, and this is wonderful.
This is how this works.
Right. And then I got bit in the ass by life and had 10 years where a lot of films didn't work. And so 24 kind of pulled me out of that. And after doing a few things that I actually really cared about, that for whatever reason didn't find the success one hopes for, to have 24 take off the way it did, I was finally in a position where I was not going to take that for granted. And so it was really exciting. And the fans that ended up appreciating that show were really hardcore fans. They went in full boat,
oh my
100%.
God, did they?
And it was exciting every time you would go to work in front of the camera. You knew who you were working for because you'd meet people on the street and you'd think about them. And like, I remember at the beginning of season 2, I shot a bad guy in the office of my superior, and he was freaking out saying, oh my God, what have you done? What have you done? And I turn around and I say, I need a hacksaw because I'm going to cut his head off. And I knew the second we had that line in that scene structured like that the people that were enjoying the show were going to enjoy that moment. And so those moments became a lot of fun and exciting to do.
How do you deal with like expectations of success, right? Because I think, coming from the family that you do, getting into acting, you're, just kind of getting in and making a living. Some people might see that as success, but based on your family, you might have these kind of grander expectations. In the same way for music, when you succeed as much as you do in acting, do you have these things in your head where success is now defined as this unattainable thing?
Success has to be defined by the enjoyment you get from what you're doing. It has to be. You can't put a dollar amount on it. You can't try and rationalize 500,000 people enjoyed this, so therefore it's a success, and 499,000 didn't enjoy it, therefore it's a failure. If you try and quantify or qualify this by numbers, you're just going to be let down.
Yeah.
The truth is, each job and each experience has its positives and negatives, and one in life has to try and figure out how to make it more positive than negative. Storytelling, there's always going to be challenges in storytelling. And I don't care if you're just sitting around with a bunch of friends in a bar, or you're making a film, or you're writing a song. But if that's the root of what you love doing is storytelling, then make it about that. And don't try and put number values on everything. And that took me a long time to learn.
Yeah.
So it's again, it's a very kind of selfish thought as I'm articulating it now. But if you value success versus failure and how you qualify that based on your personal experience and what you managed to learn and what you managed to get from that, whether it's developing a new relationship with another actor who you loved working with, or whether it's playing in a town that you've never been to before, and you create a rapport with an audience. All of those things. You write a song, and then all of a sudden, by the time you finish it for the record, you're like, man, I wasn't so sure about that song, but boy, do I love it now. Those are the great moments that you have.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get there, I'm sure that can also preserve your sanity, because you are kind of in control of that. You know, you're not comparing yourself to other people. You're not at the whim of somebody else's decision making.
Yeah,
right?
and it's a double-edged sword. There's moments where you've got a song and you're so excited about it, and you start to play it and it sounds great, and then you start to record it, and then for whatever reason it just lays dead on the track, and it just doesn't have the kind of life that you were hoping for, and then that song doesn't make the record.
Yeah.
So it's always peaks and valleys, and I think at some point in your life you realize that that's what it is, and the sooner you accept it, the more fun you'll have.
Speaking of doing things that he enjoys, our producer Travis, who's in the room right there. Travis, come in so Kiefer can see you. He is
glasses on.
He is the biggest Kiefer Sutherland fan that I've ever met in my life. Yes, and I've known him for over 10 years. I've never known a period of time where he wasn't. You're his absolute favorite actor, favorite everything. I would say you come up in conversation on a fairly regular basis.
Well, for that I apologize, but thank you very much, man.
Am I lying, Travis?
No, you're telling the truth. I was walking in, but I assume everything that you said was true.
Yeah, you're a big fan.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest.
That's very kind.
I think the biggest.
Thank you very much.
And Travis asked if he could write questions. He doesn't, he's a producer.
But I'm not on the air that much, so
he's not on the air that much. But I told him that, of course, if he's going to have the chance to talk to his hero.
Well, that's very sweet.
Why shouldn't he have the chance, right?
Absolutely. I hope I have the answers.
Yeah, me too.
Well, like I already said.
Yeah.
I am very happy that you're here.
Thank you very much.
And I am fan numero uno.
That's cool.
Was it always your dream to be an actor?
No. From the time when I was a young kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian till I was about 11. And then my mom got me a guitar when I was 10. And I just took that guitar with me everywhere. And I played in a couple high school bands. And so music was something I was leaning towards. And then I did a play because I could play the violin. I was cast when I was 12 years old in a very big play because that was about the Lodz ghetto in Poland. And I had to play a violin piece at the top of the first act. And then I played one of the characters. And then I played violin at the top of the second act and was one of the characters till I was killed. And that was my first acting job. And I was doing it I was the only kid in the cast. Everybody else was an adult. And it was the first time in my life where adults kind of treated me as an equal. And that was one of the most exciting times, especially for a 12-year-old. And then I saw my mother do a performance of Virginia Woolf, and it was the only thing that I had ever seen either of my parents do, because I grew up with my mother. And my father's films were all restricted for 18 and above, so I couldn't watch those. And so I knew he was an incredibly successful actor. I just didn't see any of the work until I was much older. But I saw my mother in a production of Virginia Woolf. She played Martha. And somewhere between the first and second act, she stopped being my mother. And I thought that was like the coolest magic trick I'd ever seen. And that really piqued my interest. So that really around 12, 13 years old, that's when acting became of real interest to me. And I think certainly at that time, I was very aware of my father's success and my mother's success. And I didn't really want to walk in those footsteps or shadow. But I fell in love with it in a way that I just kept kind of plodding on. And then both my parents very graciously let me find my own way. They didn't try and manhandle, my young career. And so I made some mistakes, but I learned really quickly from those. And so it took a little time.
We've had your father in before. He was in here.
Oh, yeah?
And you know what he did that was very, very impressive? Without us, we had no idea to ask. He just presented this information and then proved that he could fart on command.
I was going to just say that.
Yeah. He said he's one of the great, I think, flatulators might have been the word that he used.
He used to do it to embarrass the kids. I've got 3 younger brothers and a twin sister, and he used to do it in elevators. And the worst part about him, the way he would do it, is because this guy's actually taken time to work on it.
Yeah.
So he can throw a fart. And that's hard to do. He can actually fart himself, but make it sound like it came from over there.
It's incredible.
And oh gosh, it used to make my sister cry. And but yeah, he's got a lot of other really great talents as well that go beyond that.
Was that not a talent that you were able to pick up on?
No, it was something that I've desperately tried my entire life not to do.
That's too bad. That's too bad. Did you have another question, Travis?
You'd mentioned 24 earlier, and I've been a fan since way back when 24 was on. And I think that there's a little Jack Bauer in all of us. How much Jack Bauer was really Kiefer?
Well, I think, like you said, there was a lot of want.
Right.
Gosh, I wish I was this guy. Gosh, I wish I had this moral compass. Gosh, I wish I had his bravery. Gosh, I wish I could do all of these things. The things that I can tell you that are absolutely between me and Jack Bauer, we look the same. We run exactly the same speed. All of the physical stuff is there. But what I absolutely loved about the character was that he was never going to win.
Right.
It was just, and there are people in our society that take on the jobs that we don't want that are going to, more times than not fail. And how do you win when you're confronted with a situation that you let 10 people die to save 100? That's not winning.
Yeah.
There's no winning in that. And so I had such reverence and respect for that character because of the sacrifices that he was willing to put himself in for. Based on what he thought his responsibility was to his country, to people, to innocent victims, and that doesn't mean he didn't make mistakes, and that that's part of that game. But I really did feel very strongly that this was a guy who was going to try and do what he thought was the best thing.
Right.
And that at times it wasn't. And that he was going to, and that created for great storytelling, great drama.
Yeah.
But no, I would have to say the character and I are very different, but there's aspects of that character that I admire deeply.
Right.
Yeah.
You always hear about some of the legends of Kiefer Sutherland on the internet and whatnot. And I need to know if this one's true because it's been one of my favorite stories for a very, very long time.
Okay.
I'm an action figure collector. An adult.
Yeah, it's true.
An adult action figure collector.
And it's, so many years have passed now that I don't think I'll get in too much trouble for it. But they had made a an action figure of Jack Bauer, and they had sent it to me for approval. And I was doing a film with Michael Douglas at the time in Toronto. So they sent it to me, and I thought it looked great. And I said, wow, that's actually pretty cool. And so I phoned the people back in Los Angeles and said, yeah, no, you've got my approval. And they were like, oh, great, okay. And that was it. That's all they said.
Okay.
And so me and a friend of mine took it out drinking, and we took some really bad pictures of the Jack Bauer doll in like a bottle of whiskey. And then we got him into the frilly drinks, and then we lit him on fire.
And luckily you had doused him in alcohol.
He burned. And I think we filmed that too. And he just ended up a puddle of wax and clay, and got a call the next day. I was like, so glad you liked it. So we need you to send it back. And I'm like, what? And they said, we need you to send it back. It's the prototype. And I went, well, why didn't anybody tell that to me when you gave it to me? I mean, it should have been the first thing. We need this for your approval, and then send it back immediately.
Yeah, it's a prototype.
They didn't say anything, so it took a whole nother year for the doll to come out, because I didn't realize they spent a whole year making it.
So much money lost.
They had to create a brand new prototype.
And yes, and whoever had to do the prototype, I think, was kind of pissed off, because it never looked as good as the first one I got.
You're like, I got pictures of the original.
And had I known, had I known, I certainly would never have done it. We just thought we were being funny.
Of course, that's the best part of the story, that it wasn't like you were being like shitty or malicious.
No,
it was just like,
thought we were being funny, and I feel really bad about it. And to the poor artist in Japan who has spent so long trying to make that doll, I am so sorry.
well, I'll tell you, I think it's hilarious. Travis, you have another question?
Do you keep in touch with any of the old crew, like Emilio Estevez or Chuck Sheen?
That's I see Emilio more than I do Charlie, and then Charlie's just
Chuck,
always busy. But Emilio, is writing and making his films. That I regret, kind of, because that film Young Guns 1, I don't get into what film I had as a favorite film, but it was absolutely, undoubtedly the most fun I've ever had making a film. And Emilio is one of the funniest guys I've ever met. And unfortunately, so you have this amazing kind of 3 or 4 month experience with people, and you feel like you're going to be friends forever, but everybody's got families, they get other jobs, it takes them out of town. And unfortunately, people grow apart. But my memories of Lou Diamond Phillips, Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, Dermot Mulroney, Casey Shamosko is one of the funniest guys on the planet. We had the time of our lives on that film. And so we don't get to spend as much time as certainly I would like. But when we do see each other, we tend to try and make up for it.
Do you want to wrap up with one, Travis?
Can I have one more question?
Well, yeah, of course.
You were talking earlier about films or projects that don't work, or you think they're going to work, but they don't. Dark City is one of my favorite movies.
One of mine, too.
How frustrating is that when it doesn't land?
Well, I mean, there's a very simple explanation for that. I mean, Siskel and Ebert, and I think Alex Proyas deserved this. They replaced Metropolis in their film school with Dark City. It was a 15-minute standing ovation at Cannes, reviewed across the board as really one of the most innovative, inventive science fiction films of its time. New Line Cinema was owned by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers had a film coming out called Matrix. They were too close in line with each other, and they had invested a huge amount of money in that film. And Keanu Reeves is awesome, and that's a great film. It was one of those unfortunate things that they were completed around the same time. They had very similar looks in the timeless aspect of that production. And Warner Brothers told New Line, you're going to take a back seat on this one.
It eventually found its audience, though.
And it did, and over time, and I actually believe, certainly with the way technology has changed in the last 20 years, it is out there for people to find and things like that. But at that moment, it was, you think, oh my God, thank God I'm in something that critics are liking and people are liking. This is going to go all right. And then it's like, 8 theaters, and not one in New York.
Perfect.
That's not good. So, there's so many circumstances, so many factors that lead to something being successful and not successful that are out of your hands. I was very proud to have worked with Alex Proyas, Rufus Sewell, just such a fantastic cast. And I was very proud of the film. And at the end of the day, maybe at that point in my life, at the age of 29, I wasn't at a place where that was enough.
Right.
I absolutely am now, and I'm enjoying my life a lot more as a result of that.
We'll be back with more Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
You're listening to Faction Talk, Sirius XM Channel 103.
Oh, Jesus, turn that up.
Home of your favorite shows, hosted by Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
Freaking hilarious.
Ron and Gail Bennington.
It's just about me and the listeners.
Eddie Trunk.
Preaching the good word of rock.
Big J. Okerson and Robert Kelly.
It's insane. The audience is banging their head on the steering wheel.
Missed a few minutes of the bonfire with Big J and Bobby? Or didn't hear all of Jim and Sam? You can catch up anytime and anywhere you want with the Sirius XM app. Just search Faction Talk.
Hey, it's Andy Richter, here to tell you about the Andy Richter Call-In Show. Each week, I'll be inviting callers to weigh in on important questions like, have you ever seen a ghost? What's the worst job you've ever had? What's the worst date you've ever been on? Along the way, I'll be joined by my favorite comedians and friends. Check out the Andy Richter Call-In Show. New episodes each Wednesday at 4 p.m. East and West, with replays throughout the week on Conan O'Brien Radio. The show will also be available on demand in the SiriusXM app whenever you want. Just search Andy Richter.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Self-care is a non-negotiable. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, I was in diving class just the other day. Big work projects, like here, coming up with great bits. It's easy to let your priorities slip. Can't be healthy. Anytime for...
Also, tech racing website with one account.
Revenue-based working capital. One simple access of your personal to seek.
Pearl Jam fan. Are you nervous?
No.
Okay. Have you met him?
No.
He's got that glass to protect him. And inside the Travis box, nobody can hurt you.
That's true. It's my safe space.
Yeah. I want Travis to take part in this today.
He should. He's the ultimate Pearl Jam fan.
I wouldn't say that.
I wrote a few questions for Travis.
Good.
I want to give these to him because I know we have Kevin Brennan and I
was racking my brain and I couldn't think of it.
And I wanted to. I figure if none of them are mean.
Here's the problem. Travis gets nervous. He gets very nervous around the people he likes.
He does, around us.
Right.
Yeah,
Troy,
day.
can you bring this to Travis?
I don't know what to say.
The worry is that we'll say, hey, Travis, why don't you talk to one of your music idols, Mike McCready, and then he'll choke. And we don't want to make Travis look bad.
The questions I wrote are good questions. They're eager questions. None of them are mean. None of them are horrible things that I wouldn't say to Ozzy. None of them are awful.
Fan questions.
Fan questions. But they have to be, I wrote them how I want you to say them, if possible.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, Travis is coming at this from the Pearl Jam fan perspective.
Sure.
Like, we are the broadcasters here, and we're the host, but we need somebody with the fan perspective that's going to ask those questions. Maybe this will get on some Pearl Jam blogs, right?
I think so. They're not horrible questions.
Should he give examples of?
Yeah, give one.
Okay.
They're not bad questions, right? They're not mean.
No, they're not.
Right. So I think I haven't read them. I haven't heard the questions yet.
No.
But
I just want him to ask with the eagerness.
If you think I'm going to be able to ask these without laughing.
What? Don't laugh.
Yeah. Try the first one.
Yeah.
It's not even a bad question. It's a good question from a fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just see.
So, Mike, all kidding aside, when you're out there and you're rocking, is there any better feeling?
It's a good question.
It's a really good question.
I mean,
I want to find
in
out.
theory, yeah. Like, is there anything you like better than performing?
Than rocking, but you just got to ask like that. I have
performing.
it worded a certain way.
Because I want to find out.
Through?
Because I watch guys rock out on stage, and I think to myself, that's got to be the best feeling in the world. But I don't have that confirmed.
Travis can do these.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Is there any other? Did you just write the one?
No, there's a couple.
No,
there's only like 6.
Oh, what's that? What's like one other? What's the second one?
Are you guys?
What?
I don't.
Are you guys gigging anytime soon?
That's a good one.
I mean, it's probably the question everybody wants to know.
Well, if you guys are gigging,
Because
it's a great question.
They haven't played a show this year.
Yeah.
But it's also good because Mike McCready's been in a couple bands, so the fact that you're using the nondescript pronoun guys, it's so open-ended that it could just lead anywhere. It doesn't necessarily mean Pearl Jam.
Well, I mean, he's not in the other bands because other members are dead.
Well, but you could replace the lead singer. They replaced the girl from Kevin Can Wait.
Yeah, that's true.
You just bring in Eddie Vedder to be chairman of the dog or whatever that thing is called.
Sure.
I like how you give me some physical cues.
Oh, yeah, I do. He does have a cue in this one.
Is that to be more like just natural and kind of
genuine?
flowing?
Yeah, go ahead.
The fans who are in this book must be floating on cloud 9. I know I would. I've been a fan since I was like yay high. It says in parentheses, hand extended.
Here's the thing, though. To get the full physical effect of the question, I do think that when we do the interview, question 1 and 2 should be done in the TEF box.
I agree.
And question 3, maybe the Travis dog should say, would you guys mind if I came in the studio to ask this one?
Sure.
And then he could come in, and that way we could find out what yay high is.
I've been a fan since I was like yay high.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was a great fan question.
That should be so. Can you please remember to ask if you can come into the studio to ask that third question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is there another one?
I mean, yeah, there's 5 more.
Oh, there is another one.
There's a couple more, yeah.
Oh, okay.
All good.
Oh.
I mean, the last one's not a question. It's more a statement.
Sure. Oh, a couple of them are kind of statements.
Yeah. I'm a hardcore fan. I wanted to name my daughter Elderly Woman Behind the Counter in a Small Town. Haha. But my wife wasn't having it.
That's good.
That's really cool. Because then he could give. I mean, it does sound like it was worded by Tommy Wiseau, but it's like right. It's and definitely say ha like that.
Well, you gotta say no. It's like I wanted to name my wife Elderly Woman Behind the Counter in a Small Town, but my wife wasn't having it.
Right. Right.
How does the band handle all the years of touring and various scuttlebutt?
That's a good question.
What's the second part?
Scuttlebutt, rumors and stuff.
That's so open-ended.
It's a good question. It's a hardcore fan question.
It is a little. My only concern about some of these questions is they're a little too inside, don't you think?
Yeah, but that's what a true fan would ask.
I guess that's true.
The various and there's a camera question. It's important. This is about his book.
What made you use a Polaroid? I ask because I'm an amateur shutterbug myself.
That's
the book that he's promoting
is a photography book.
Well, it's a picture book. He he took Polaroids throughout his entire career and has assembled them together, and it's like performances and pictures of fans and celebrities, and all kinds of stuff. Jack White is in there, so I'm glad. I feel like maybe you're a better boss, I guess is the word, than me, because I didn't realize that Travis as a hobby was an amateur shutterbug.
Yeah, I think that's a cool thing to say to a photographer
Jim
too.
pays attention to like my hobbies.
I didn't realize that.
You're an amateur shutterbug.
Yep. I didn't know. I've never known him to shutterbug.
There's one more statement. It's not a question.
There's no question mark after this one?
Nope.
Oh.
My wife and I are huge fans. We even have our daughter listening to you guys. There's
This was already established in the other question about your daughter and your wife.
There's 3 Pearl Jammers living in my house. 4 if you count my dog Jeremy.
So, Jim, this is where you're so strong at this stuff. You did the research to actually find out that hardcore Pearl Jam fans are known as Pearl Jammers.
Pearl Jammers, and there's 3 of them living under this roof. Yeah.
4, actually.
If you count my dog Jeremy.
Because, of course.
That'd be a cool name for a dog.
Yeah, I mean, a real hardcore Pearl Jammer would pick Jeremy as the name for the dog. Because that's one of those, like, that's a bit of a deep track.
Sure.
Jeremy.
That's a hardcore one. That's a hardcore one.
That's really good.
These are much better questions than I would have ever thought of.
Right, yeah.
They'll show him that you really are a fan.
They will.
Yeah. If you could...
I think I'll make a connection.
Any questions that you have in your head or had prepared, if you could put those aside.
They don't even compare to these.
Yeah, we'll focus on those.
Just 2 amateur shutterbugs
Yeah, because
having a conversation.
Because that's what I want. I want the perspective of amateur shutterbug to amateur shutterbug, and I want it to be Pearl Jam guy to Pearl Jammer.
Pearl Jammer.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
So that's a good question.
Yeah, I think that's a great
It's a statement.
Not even a question.
No, but it's a statement. Just talking to your friend. I would tell someone I like that. I just love your stuff. I'm a fan. Nothing wrong with that.
There's 7 things on the sheet. 3 of them are just statements about myself.
Cool.
It'd be like if you were like, hey,
I'll
man.
appreciate that.
Hey, Ozzy, I'm such a big fan. Like, sometimes at night, I bring my dog outside and I point up to the sky and say, hey, bark at that.
That's great.
You know, that's a cool thing.
I'd say, dude, Ozzy, I've been a fan for so long. I was born to be a fan.
That's really great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You don't like that?
Yeah. It'd be like if Gene Simmons was in here and you were like, yeah, Gene, I was in church on Sunday. Only difference for me is I end up praying to the God of Thunder.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
And I'll say, man, your band is so great. I was made for loving you.
That's perfect.
Trust me, this is all good stuff.
Because they like that.
Yeah.
There's a photo of Gene in the book.
There is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bands like to know, musicians like to know that you're familiar with their catalog, and the way you get that done is dropping little references that only a true fan would know.
Absolutely. Naming the dog Jeremy is going to like cement you. You're going to be in like Flynn.
Yeah, he's going to take a second and be like, Jeremy, that's the name of one of our... Right. You didn't, did you? That's so cool.
Yeah. He was in Mad Season, too, with Lane Staley, who I like that band a lot. They do a song called Wake Up, which I really like. That's all I really like about them. Is that one song.
Well, yeah, he was.
I like how you're going from. I really like that band.
Well, I mean, I've heard them, and I like their music. But that's the song that really stands out, and I remember.
He got them together.
Oh, he did.
Mike, yeah.
You should tell Mike that you think of that song every time you're done sleeping. Because what do?
First thing in the morning, I go, wake up.
Yeah, he did. He was in a band with Lane Staley. He was also in a band with
Chris Cornell. Yeah,
amazing.
Tremendous contributor. This guy is.
Yeah,
fun life.
You talking about Travis or Mike McCready?
Travis.
Oh yeah, he's tremendous.
And he's good friends with a friend of mine, a friend of ours. Actually.
Who Mike McCready is?
That's right.
Who?
Mm-hmm.
Craig Gass.
Is he?
Very good friend.
I didn't know he was. Yeah, I wonder if I met Mike. I was with Craig one time in Seattle, and he had a couple of guys come to the show. I don't know if Mike was one of them.
That's cool.
Yeah, one of them was a guy from Alice in Chains. Craig knows everyone. How did fucking Craig Gass know everyone? I don't know.
As a music fan, he is really good at making friends with musicians.
And they really like him.
Yeah, it's like friends.
You go backstage with Craig Gass, he knows everyone. I'll say one thing I was happy to do for him is he wanted to meet Ace, and I was happy to introduce him to Ace Frehley. That's the only thing I've ever been able to do in return for Craig Gass.
Yeah.
Mike loves Ace.
He does.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ace.
Ace came out and played Black Diamond with them at the Garden once.
Hey, were you there?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
How was it?
It was awesome. Yeah.
Do you like the way Ace plays live? He just kind of hangs out. He always looks like he's about to miss his cue. Ace always just looks like he's about to fall over. He's really frightening to watch.
This could be the last one.
I've told him that. You never think he's going to hit the mic on time. He forgets he has to sing. And then he's like, oh, yeah. And he just jumps up. He just gets it.
And I think Mike was on Ace's last record. That collaboration record that he did.
I don't know that.
Yeah, he came in to promote it.
No. I mean, I don't know if Mike was on it.
Oh, yeah, I think he was.
What song did he play? You don't know.
Look it up.
When you say I think he was, you mean I'm quite sure he was.
I should ask him about playing Black Diamond with Ace Frehley.
Yeah, he says it's one of the best moments of his career.
I'm going to say it, and I'm going to call Ace by his birth name.
What's his birth name?
Paul Frehley.
It's cool.
That's just, so
that
that way
when you played Black Diamond with Paul Frehley,
he'll be like, "Whoa!"
What was the vibe like?
Because he's going to come in and he's going to be like, "Oh, I thought I was just talking to some fans, but this is an industry
These are guys in
conversation."
the know.
Yeah.
Let me see that. That's cold gin too.
This is Ace playing with Mike.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's with Ace's band though.
Mike McCready jumped on with Ace's
Jumped
band.
on with them.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's great. So he's a real fan. Ace always.
Yeah, he was Peter Criss for Halloween.
Was
he? Awesome.
Like, yeah, back in the 70s. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's so cool to be able to be good enough at something that now you can do that with your idols.
Yeah, that's got to be really, really fun.
That's kind of how I feel every day when I come in here.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I don't feel the same.
You don't?
Well, no.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I'm happy to see you.
Right, but it's a different thing.
Sure. I mean, I didn't change the course of your life by being Wait, I mean, you didn't change the course of my life by being you.
No, you're right the first time.
No.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're good to go.
I was correct.
Yeah, you're fine.
I didn't change the course of your life.
No. Nope.
Let me see Miss Peter Chris.
Look at him. He's got an arrow pointed down to his dick.
That's old Peter Chris. That's an old Peter Chris outfit.
Well, that's because he's dressed. That's him on Halloween.
I want to guess that's 75. Let me guess. 75.
Well, that's not Peter Chris. That's the little kid, isn't it? Isn't
Yeah,
that
but
Mike
I'm saying
McCready?
that was probably 75 that he. That's
Based
Peter's
on.
75 or 76. There you go.
It's the best of Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
Let's bring in Mike McCready, who's right outside the studio. We just took a quick break. And
Mike McCready has a new book out.
yes,
It's called Of Potato Heads and Polaroids, My Life Inside and Out of Pearl Jam.
You want to grab him? Because he can't. There's no one here. Troy's in the restroom. I told him to bring him in.
It's a great book. It's just that I guess Mike was taking Polaroids throughout his kind of entire career.
Yeah.
And he's very young. It starts in the beginning.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
What's going on, Mike?
Mike, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you. Sorry.
And like you get to follow the journey. We were just talking about your book.
All
How
right.
you kind of get
Now
to
I'm in the
follow
right
the
place.
journey through Polaroids of everything, and it starts. I mean, there's celebrity stuff, there's fan stuff, there's performance stuff, there's everything in here.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
It's a. Are we on?
We're on.
All right. Hello.
Hey, this is it.
Yeah, it runs the gamut of famous people that have shown up to shows, to friends of mine, personal friends of mine in Seattle, to friends of Soundgarden, to Mudhoney, to.
Where'd you
all that
keep
stuff.
all the Polaroids? Like, did you just have a big box?
Boxes, and lost for about 2 years, and then found, and yeah,
How'd they get lost?
I don't know, because I can't keep anything straight.
Yeah.
I just can't. I'm not. I'm not a very organized guy, so let's put it that way.
Did you ever I know you're a big Kiss fan,
Yeah.
and so am I. And they said that Gene would take photos of every girl. Did you ever do that? Like where you took pictures of the women you're with, or stuff that you couldn't publish?
I would say no, because I think we're kind of that's a different era, and I never did that, but. He did tell me he did do that when I took a Polaroid of him, and I knew that because I know all about Kiss. So.
It's amazing that that's how famous he was. Everyone knew he did it, and the girls still let him do it. You gotta love,
Right.
that.
And it's not like when you're dealing with Polaroids, you can just sneak it like it's a phone, like it's a thing. You know what I mean? Like you're getting a Polaroid shot taken of you.
Yeah, it was the 70s.
How was it doing? I know you did Black Diamond with Ace. How much of a thrill was that?
It was a total dream come true. It's Ace Frehley. It's lead guitar. I loved him, and he's become a friend, which is crazy. And it was super cool for him to show up and want to play with us. And I can't even, you're playing with your childhood hero. So
How does that work? Like, you guys call him and say, "Look, we're going to be in town," or I always wonder how those bands work it out.
Come to the show. That was what it was at Madison Square Garden, and I was like, yeah, sure. And Ace, he got a hold of us somehow, and he showed up.
That's kind of amazing that
And I
his
said,
daughter.
Hey, do you want to play with us?
Oh, you guys just invite him to play.
I invited him and I knew Matt Cameron played in a Kiss cover band when he was a kid, called Kiss, and they had to stop doing it because they got Casablanca Records sent him a cease and desist order. But they were kids. They were like 14 years old. So Matt was the guy. Matt sang Black Diamond back then. So I thought, Matt, will you please sing Black Diamond again? Now we got Ace coming out, so it's possible that makes it for it, and they do a great
Oh yeah,
job.
it went out of business for a while, right?
Yeah,
Polaroid went out of business
It did,
for a
yeah.
while.
You should watch. There's a movie called Year Zero, which is about the whole history of what happened with Polaroid. So.
And Travis, our producer,
Hey, Travis.
is one of the gigantic. This is Kevin, by the way. So another one of our guests today, Kevin. Now, Travis is a huge Pearl Jam. I would say Travis is the biggest Pearl Jam fan I've ever met in my life. Correct?
Yeah, me
That
too.
you've met, probably.
Yeah.
And probably not that
Great to
Mike's
hear.
met. Yeah.
And I know you wanted to ask a question. And
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I have some questions that I definitely wrote.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll definitely answer them.
Cool.
Great. Great.
Are you guys gigging anytime soon?
No. Not that I know of. Right now, we're not. Ed's on tour right now, and I'm working on a film called Sadie by Megan Griffiths, and we're all kind of doing stuff separately right now.
What are you doing on the film?
Scoring it.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of been something I've been wanting to do for a while. I did another movie called Fat Kid Rules the World. I've done a little TV thing with Fringe, and so I'm really trying to get into that aspect of things. So
do you see the movie first before you score it, or how does it work? Or they tell you the
it
tone?
depends on the director. This time I did see the movie first. I read the script. I really liked it. I saw the movie. Then you kind of go over scene by scene with the director, and that's her name's Megan Griffiths, and it's interesting because directors will tell you. I want to just look this way, and they won't talk in musical terms, so you have to kind of interpret what they're saying. But it's fun. It's totally different than writing songs for Pearl Jam because it's kind of less is more a lot of times. So,
Travis, sorry, man, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Sorry, what?
You can ask another question. He's a bigger fan, so I would.
Oh, well, like, all kidding aside, when you're out there and you're rocking, is there any better feeling?
It's the obvious one, but I would say it's unlike anything that you can ever do. It's just having the 40,000 people scream and having their energy come at you. It's intense and amazing, and then you're just worn out from it the next day. But then you get to do it.
Does it
again,
hurt in relationships? It's almost like nothing compares to that feeling. Sex is great, but no high in a relationship will ever be as good as that.
It's a crazy high. It's like this symbiotic thing between the band and the crowd, and you can't even put it into words. It's not quantifiable. It's unreal.
Is it hard to get to sleep after? Because you're
it
on
takes
such
a while. It takes a little while.
So it's big. The adrenaline is still going. You want it just to keep going, and then you lay down. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, you're just kind of like, I'm still awake. Yeah.
So. When you guys broke and other grunge bands were breaking at the same time, like Soundgarden and bands like that, the fact that you guys, because Temple of the Dog was a band as Pearl Jam was breaking and everything, was there a competition between you guys, or was it more of a peer group?
That's a good question. The interesting.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna refer to Johnny Ramone on this, which is a direct quote that he told me. It's like, You guys are too nice with each other. We try to fuck over everybody. Sorry, live radio.
It's fine.
No, it's good.
Okay. At every turn that we could, and when we were coming up, and so in terms of, I always think of it in that way. It's like we were all obviously had a healthy competition with each other, but we all would hang out with each other and go to each other's parties, and because it was a small town back then, it was like just real provincial, tiny town, and everybody knew each other, so we would support each other. A lot.
Was there any band that joined the scene as it was blowing up that you guys were like, fuck that band, they weren't around?
I was so busy with my band and trying to keep that thing rolling that I didn't have time to even care about any of that stuff.
What's that tough like to go from like Pearl Jam is this band that we're kind of putting together and we're just making cool music and everything to now we've got this level of success that we have to maintain.
Yeah, it was just chaotic and insane and but awesome, and your dreams are coming true, and then it's freaky and weird, but we got to keep it going because we want to do another record, and this is great, and we're getting bigger, and
well, that's the part, right? Like your dreams are coming true, but now you have to keep them going.
But also in the terms of like not doing it in the way bands generally do it, because we kind of pulled back and we stopped doing videos, and we were told at that time by the record company that you'll be gone if you don't do a video for Black and all this kind of stuff, and we're still around, so I guess that worked to not do that. But that was Jeff and Ed's kind of vision to like, let's pull back and not do a ton of press, and let's not be in there and burn ourselves out.
Travis, did you want to say?
Which I didn't want to do, by the way. I wanted to be the guy that was doing press, and I wanted to be as big as you too. So that was it.
Were you? Does that become an argument then? Like if because you want that spotlight, you want the fame that goes with it. You don't want to be the.
We all talk about it, but it's in terms of it made sense at the time. I trust Ed and Jeff kind of in stone and implicitly in terms of their thought process on what we should do with this band. So,
did you want to be a front man? Like, was that part of it, or you're happy in your?
I love being a lead guitar player. Yeah. It's what I've wanted to do since I was 11 years old. So that was it.
Travis, do you want to?
So yeah, like along those lines, how does the band handle all the years of touring and various scuttlebutt?
We have a lot of. Well, now we handle it with a lot of Epsom salts and ointment.
Is that how scuttlebutt is handled generally?
Thank you. What, are you a pirate? Thank you. Well, we swab the poop deck first, and then we so. Anyways, we just we have our highs and lows, and we fought and we argue and we love each other, and then we fight again, and then we just I don't know how we keep doing it, and we just keep doing it, and. I think we generally enjoy playing with each other, and I think my playing is better with those guys than it is with anybody else because I think they bring something out. We've played almost 1,000 shows together, so that there's a thing that happens with a band like that.
You just understand each other.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Is there anybody? Did you have to go through and get the rights to publish all these photos? Like, did you have to reach out to everybody that you're?
I didn't personally, but our people did, and. they had to sign a waiver, or most of them did, and most of them were into it.
Well, even fans, though.
yeah.
But if fans are at a show,
Yeah.
they probably don't have to because you're in a public place and
Right.
you know that they're taking
Well,
pictures.
and we have a thing that says that as you go into
Yeah.
you may be filmed, and
Yeah, I don't see anybody suing for a Polaroid from a concert. It's a great book, by the way. I've looked through it. It's amazing how many interesting personal photos there are.
Yeah.
There's photos of you and celebrities. There's just photos of you hanging out. There's photos of the fans. Some of them have little notations on them. It's really great, man. It seems like a very, very personal thing.
It is. I mean, it's a visual journey of my life, and there's stories that go along with all of it, and that's why I'm stoked to finally have this thing out. So.
Travis?
It made sense to take all those Polaroids for 20 years.
So
now.
the fans that are in this book, like they must be floating on cloud nine.
From what I did a book signing in Seattle, and a lot, some will come up and go, "That's me right there. Can you sign right in there?" And I'm like,
"Oh, that's cool."
So they can see themselves, and they're in there, and we have very passionate fans that follow us around the world, and you'll see a lot of them in the same photos, and so that Where's Waldo? It's like find yourself.
Yeah.
Along the lines of you saying that Ed and Jeff were, let's pull back, let's not do interviews, let's not do videos.
Mm-hmm.
Were you against the whole Ticketmaster thing as well, or was that kind of just you going along with everything?
No, I felt strongly about that at the time because we were trying. So our band. A backstory to that is that we never take kind of any promotion or any kind of money from any corporations or anything to go out and tour. We do it all of ourselves, and we pay for all of our crew and our bands and all that stuff, and we always have. And we were doing that back in the 90s, and we just couldn't afford. We didn't want to raise our ticket prices, and we wanted to keep them as low as possible, but be able to keep ourselves on the road.
Why weren't you taking corporate money?
Because it just we don't
What kind
want.
of question is that?
Total whore.
No, it's a good question. It's a great question because if we were really kind of in it for that, we would probably do that. For that, and it would probably.
You just didn't want to be in bed with these corporations.
We didn't. It's not part of our ethos or our ethic, or it just didn't seem right. So we, not in any kind of weird, pretentious way. We just want to do it.
You
ourselves.
just weren't comfortable with it.
It's a do it yourself. I mean, like Jeff came from Green River and Ed, and we all came from this small scene. Ed down in San Diego that you have to do it yourself. You do all your flyers, and then we always kind of felt that in our soul, and that's how we still do it. So at any rate. We couldn't afford to keep our tickets as low as we wanted to, but with the service charge on it. So that was the problem.
Was it difficult to know that?
And we were asked by the government. It's like we didn't bring it up. We were asked.
What do you mean?
You're asked what?
We were asked to testify whether they were a monopoly. That was
right.
So
and they
we
clearly were, right?
Well, it turns out they weren't.
Who said that? The courts?
Janet Reno.
Yeah, the government.
Yeah. So but we do business with them now. So it's like it's.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Was it difficult when you okay, we're going to start doing business with Ticketmaster again?
Yeah.
You have to be like, okay, we don't know how our fans are going to take this because they know how public that fight's been.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you just kind of you have to move on, and we want to play in the places where fans can come see us, and where it's not impossible for them to go see us, like it was when we tried to do a tour by ourselves. So
what type of places
that's
were
more
you...
important. We just would, like, oh God, I can't even remember, like in Utah, out by a ski resort, and like all sorts of crazy.
And it was annoying?
It was just hard to put on a show by yourself without.
And fans couldn't find it.
Your intentions are right, but it's kind of hard when Ticketmaster or Live Nation owns the venues. It's a whole thing, and it's like you want to just go out and do gigs.
We do that now with them, and we're all happy to do business with them. So it's like, it's because we want our fans to come to the shows, and that's the most important thing is to make it easy for them.
If people had to choose between, like, we all know the fees suck, but if they had to choose between paying the fees and seeing you, or not paying the fees and seeing you once every 3 years, they'd pay the fees and see you. People, as a fan, would rather just go see the band. I go to
fees. The fees are high, weren't they high?
That was the thing. We couldn't afford to take our crew and our rogues and keep our ticket prices down. At that time were probably $60 or something, or 50. I don't even remember back then. But we try to keep it as low as possible, as we still do.
Sure.
And we couldn't do it.
And made it harder with those.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Travis, did you want to? Because you know the band better than anybody.
I mean, no, I think I'm good.
You sure?
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
There's the one you wanted. Well, there was one because Travis was talking about you before, and there was the one thing about your dog that I thought
Yeah, don't be embarrassed. He's embarrassed.
Tell me about your dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my wife and I, we're both huge fans, and we've got a daughter that listens to you guys now as well. So there's, 3 Pearl Jammers in my house, and 4 if you count my dog Jeremy.
Nice. Yeah.
Is that we don't? Is that traditional?
Come here, Jeremy.
Is that lingo? Do they call themselves Pearl Jammers generally?
I would say I think they call themselves Jamily and things like that. So that's the term.
I see.
Yeah.
So Jamily is more the term. Travis.
Okay.
That's
I've
what
been saying it
heard.
wrong the whole time.
Yeah. No, whatever.
Whatever makes you happy
your
as a
dog's
fan.
named Jeremy, right on.
It doesn't matter. And obviously we have to ask you about Chris Cornell, who we didn't know well. We had interviewed him. He was a nice guy.
Yeah.
Did you? I guess knowing somebody intimately, did you know he was in and out of depression or?
I never knew any of that stuff. Chris, the one there's a picture. The first shot in there is of me and Chris and Eddie and Nancy Wilson, and that was a Temple show, one of the early Temple shows, and that was at the Moore Theater. And Chris that night we went out and had he took me out for dinner to talk to me about the project, and we had Italian food, and I remember drinking a Chimay ale, and we talked about Pink Floyd and all sorts of stuff. But at any rate, he was always cool to me in terms of like helping me out in my career, or like, hey, you want to play on this Temple Dog record? And this is the first legitimate record I was ever on. So it was a big deal, and I was terrified, but also I wanted to do the best I could. And he was, specifically with Reach Down, he was like, hey, he heard the first solo I did one time. He's like, why don't you, I'm going to go outside, and I'll come back in 10 minutes, and I want to hear you do something different. And so I just did that one solo that's on there in one take, and that was after him kind of making me kind of lighten up, which he did with Ed too. He was very good to Ed. So I'm just giving you a backstory about our relationship. And he was very accommodating to Ed when he moved to Seattle. And there were some people in Seattle who were kind of some dicks, basically, because Ed was not from there. And there were people that I knew forever because I'm from there. So I was kind of pissed about that. But Chris was not that way. He was very accommodating to Ed. He took Ed out for drinks, or they went hiking or all that. And he was like, hey, welcome to this whole thing. And that was, not knowing anything about a depression or any kind of thing, I had no idea. I just knew him on a musical sense and in a friendship and a brotherhood, and I miss him dearly, and it's super sad. I'm still in shock about it.
Sure.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't know even how to talk about it, but I knew we were gonna, but it's just super sad, and I'm really lucky and happy that I got to play with him and got to do the Temple of the Dog tour that we just did, the reunion of sorts, because I got to have him in my headphones every night, and so that was amazing to hear him sing. And I've been blessed to be able to play with a lot of great singers, and I don't take that for granted. Ed, Chris, Mark Lanigan, Lane, all those guys. So.
And the photo you're talking about in the front, it's an unbelievable photo.
I think Lance Mercer took that shot, but yeah, that's just right after the show. What
year is that?
It had to be 91. We played right after Alice in Chains, or right before Alice, actually, because they were starting to take off.
Well, what
at
about
the Moore Theater?
What about all those years ago, Lane's death? Because you played with him too. Was that another one that hit you in the same way, or was it because you knew of his issues? It wasn't as surprising.
And good, yeah, your insight is correct. I felt that it may happen with Lane, and you kind of saw the trajectory of that happening, unfortunately, because of his addiction. And that was just dark and grim. Again, I was happy to be able to do music with him for the Mad Season record, and I'm very proud of that, and it means a lot to some people that I've talked to, and I think it was freeing for him to sing on that thing, because I was just kind of like, do whatever you want, man. It's just, you're a great singer. You just do it. But he struggled, and I saw that. You can't say necessarily you see that coming, but it was just one of those things. I was super, again, like, oh man,
sure.
Another guy.
You think
died.
it was the Seattle weather that makes everybody do drugs?
There could be a thing about that. There could be.
Seasonal affective disorder. They say Seattle's like the highest suicide. It's like a great place, but the weather there, there's lack of sun. There's something to it.
Yeah, don't move there. Nobody. Nobody move there.
Dude, every time I've gone there, I don't even know if I was there. I know Craig Gash, you're good friends with.
I love Craig.
And did a gig with him.
Did you?
Yeah. It was many years ago, but I've never been there when it was pleasant out. People are like, no, you got to come more.
Yeah, there's 2 days. You got to come those 2 days.
2 days a year?
Yeah, you got to come. You just got to pick them. Yeah.
So now you've got this book. What do you want to do after this? Do you want to go back? Like you said, you're not on tour necessarily at this point. What do you want to do? Like you do some? Are you doing book signings first of all?
I'm doing a book signing at the Strand tomorrow night, which is sold out at the Gramercy Theater. So that's why I'm here.
I live right by there. I was walking by your sign. I saw it sold out. That's what that is. A signing. Okay.
So that's what that is. So I'm doing that, and I think that's probably it for the book. And I don't know.
More Jim Norton and Sam Roberts after this. The music.
The history.
The legend.
The Beatles.
It's a good message. It's love. It's peace. And I think that's what everybody wants.
The Beatles channel.
Peace and love to you all.
Hello, it's Paul McCartney, and you are listening to me.
Take on West Virginia.
Watch out!
The best pregame, the best announcers, the biggest games. Big Noon Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox.
Matt Olson and the Braves battle Bryce Harper and the Phillies. Or William Contreras and the Brewers take on Ellie De La Cruz and the Reds. Baseball Night in America, Saturday at 7 Eastern on Fox.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Self-care is a non-negotiable. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, I was in diving class just the other day. Big work projects, like here, coming up with great bits. It's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. If you're not healthy, the people around you can't be healthy. That's why therapy is so important. If you're thinking of starting therapy, maybe give BetterHelp a try, huh? It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Never skip therapy date with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Teft to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/TEFFT.
AdamandEve.com has something for everybody. So go to AdamandEve.com and get 50% off plus 10 free gifts, including free shipping.
Yo, you got something for me, sweetheart?
For a hot breaker like you? Check out some smoking lingerie for your lady.
Seriously? Like something for us?
Like for sure. How about the newest adult toy?
Woo-wee! Can you rustle something up for me?
You bet your boots. Choose from the biggest selection of adult products and accessories anywhere. You'll find something that's sure to stir up the dust. Whoever you are, go to AdamandEve.com and choose something racy and sensuous. And definitely downright sexy. And always delivered in discreet packaging. So go to AdamandEve.com where there's something for everybody and get 50% off almost any one item and 10 exciting free gifts, including free shipping. Use offer code BODY4. That's BODY4 at AdamandEve.com.
As they say, one person's personal information is another person's treasure.
Exactly. That's why I use NordVPN every time I surf the web. Features like Threat Protection Pro's safeguard devices from phishing websites and disable intrusive ads and trackers. Just check NordVPN.com, grab the deal, and see for yourself. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Welcome back to Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
I'm going on vacation a couple weeks, going to Aruba.
You love Aruba.
It's the best. I've never been Ray, baby. Aruba Ray.
Are you working for Ray?
Dude, yeah. You go there. He has, I think it's 3 or 4 shows. He has it at this club. It switches here and there. It was the Marriott for a while, which was awesome. Then it moved to the Holiday Inn, I believe it was. And that was great room. Awesome comedy room.
Yeah. Holiday Inn.
And I don't know who I'm there with, but who am I there with that week?
Brian McFadden does it a lot. He's very funny.
Brian's perfect for it.
Yeah, he's
fantastic.
Clean. He fucking murders.
Tony V
writer.
murders.
Allison Levy, Tony V, Ray L.
Who's Allison Levy? Yeah, Tony V's great. Ray, Tony. Who's Allison Levy? Who is that? That's great. Perfect. Yeah, it's great. So I'll be there for that week, the last week.
That's WrestleMania week. That's when I'll be at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles for Not Sam-a-Mania, Wednesday, March 29th.
Oh, yeah, we're doing that.
We'll see. I don't know if you'll be able to make it in.
Okay.
Yeah. Aruba Rays is the best. Quick show. Do like 25 minutes.
You gotta be clean though.
Not really.
Oh, that's nice.
Not really. The crowds are adult. They're all from New York and Boston and Europe, so they're cool. You can't be too graphic, but
can't be a pig.
Yeah, you can't be up to going. I
want to
be
be a pig.
Yeah, no,
Why
it's
not?
great. By the water all day, pool.
You go swimming?
Oh, all day long.
Yeah, you do.
All day long.
You frolic in the water.
Frolicking. I'm swimming and frolicking.
It's like grease, just splashing.
Well, now that Max is older, last time we went, last year, we went last year. We were supposed to go for 2 weeks. For Christmas, finally got her to go for Christmas and New Year's. I was like, let's just go. Fuck it. We'll do Christmas when we get back. The regular traditional shit.
That way you get a Aruba trip and you get Christmas.
So we did Christmas and New Year's there. We stayed another week. I got her to stay.
That's right.
I go, what are we going back for? I have to, no shows. You're not, what do you have? Let's just stay. And Ray was like, you can stay another week. And I just did like 2 more shows with him because he's so generous. Then they got COVID.
I remember that.
And they had to stay another 5 days. We were there for a month.
But now you can't do that anymore because you got a gig. You'll have to come back. There's only so many vacation
I'm going to bring
days.
one of those things with me.
What's one of those things? That could be
Microphone?
anything in life.
The little
One of those
CPT units you take.
You can just
Be
do
a
it over.
hat.
You can just do it over Zoom with a microphone.
Yeah.
I was just saying that. I'm not bringing anything.
No.
Bring a little Yeti. Little Yeti mic.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, we're a Yeti.
There's pretty better mics.
Why would I bring a
Yeti
Yeti?
is better than Shure.
But why would I bring a Yeti?
I don't know. What other kind of little portable mics do you have?
Yeti's not better than Shure.
Yeti's
Shure is
not.
way
I
better.
know.
Oh. And I got caught again in the web of deception.
There's a lot of deception on our show. I know you guys don't do that on Bonfire, but we do deception.
No,
here.
there's a lot of deception. This is like
They're straight
the
shooters
board
on
game
Bonfire.
Clue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
You know who would hate it? Bobby Lee. He doesn't like deception.
Oh no, he doesn't like. It's like the glass onion in this room.
That's right. That's right. It's the dark. We're practitioners of the dark arts here.
Yes, and the dark web, like Gary Glitter. 1 month out.
Well,
how bad do you need to jerk off to that where you can't wait a month? Jesus fucking Christ.
78. Sentenced to 16 years in prison in 2015 after he was found guilty.
Was this where was this? Because in Vietnam he had gotten in trouble for like fumbling with like really young girls. He had child porn. Like this is like a lot of different shit.
Well, he was recently spotted at the Bale Hostel.
After getting out after like 8 years in jail, 7 years in jail.
Yeah, he went in 2015 in the United Kingdom, where he was allegedly typing how to avoid detection when web browsing on a cell phone.
How do they catch him on camera?
I mean, these
What
guys...
do you see a camera, what are you looking up at it and asking the camera if you spell things right?
But like everybody thinks that oh, you know, our privacy this, they're going to catch us on camera doing that. Everybody's getting caught because they're Googling dumb shit.
He wants to jerk off to that so badly he couldn't wait. He's 7 years, he's out for less than a month.
I mean, they say that's like...
He just has to jerk off.
Well, that's what they say. Like, those are the repeat offenses on cases like this are just through the roof, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that...
Recidivism is very high.
Yeah.
Because he's not just a guy who watched it, like he did it. Like you know what I mean? He got convicted of doing it.
Oh, there it is. Somebody took a picture of him.
Yeah, but can you see what he's writing? Like, it's just his phone.
Give it a zoom ski.
Yeah, if they enhance, you could probably see.
What would they have to do?
Enhance.
Oh. Don't let me forget I enhanced.
Don't let me forget I enhanced. Yeah, back in jail. But now this is just, will he get parole? He didn't commit a crime, but I guess he violated the terms, very strict terms of his parole.
Right, so...
When he was picked up, he told officers he was trying to find the onion, which is...
the onion router?
The web browser?
Yeah. I thought it was slang for a 13-year-old girl, but the onion. Hey, welcome back to the onion.
Okay.
Hey.
All right.
Make a note.
Yeah. So he's going back.
I don't know.
I hope. I really hope he goes back.
Literally, if you're in jail for 7 years and you're out and you're still in the halfway house, you're like, I have to do it.
He's got to go to jail forever.
I got to tug my dick to this.
I mean, it's got to be forever.
I can't.
It's been a month.
It's been 7 years. I got to tug my dick now. Yeah, but you're not going to be in the halfway house forever. Did you hear what I said? I have to tug my dick now.
It's up to the parole board whether they re-release him.
They can't. He's a danger to
Because
society.
he's obviously gonna do that again.
He's a danger to society.
What can I please be honest?
Go ahead.
I don't even know who the fuck this guy is.
Gary Glitter?
I'll
I
play
don't.
this song, Bobby.
Hey!
Oh yeah, I know. Yes. Well, is that him right there?
Yeah.
Yes. It'll be stupid if they showed another guy.
Why?
It's a Gary Glitter child porn story, and they show a picture of David Bowie. Like, what are they doing?
He went to jail for molestation.
Yeah, like really young girls.
How long?
He
did
got
7
16,
years.
but he got 7. I think they said the judge said that the crimes were pretty bad, and he wanted to give him more time, but
that was
because
the
it was
max?
so long, I don't know a lot of the details of it.
In 1999, he was sentenced to 4 months in prison for possessing 4,000 images of child porn.
4 months,
4,000.
That's so many images.
In
It's a lot of
2006, he was sent to jail for 3 years for obscene acts with 2 girls in Vietnam.
Oh, that's the one. Okay.
When he returned to the UK, he was placed on their sex offenders register. And then he was sentenced in 2015 in the UK.
Dude, he won't stop.
For
That's old stuff. This is
for 16 years when he was found guilty for sexually abusing 3 young girls, all under the age of 13. Then he was released.
So he had already repeated it multiple times, and now...
Yeah.
You gotta lop your dick off.
Now he's looking to get on the dark web? What are you looking to get on the dark web for? Nothing.
Yeah, download fucking
Nothing.
Hollywood blockbusters.
They should cut his fingers off.
That way you can't type?
Can't type. Can't jerk off.
Can't fiddle
put
about.
Can't fiddle.
Yeah.
Can't diddle.
Just lock him up forever.
Yeah, he's 78.
When are you gonna lock him up? What, just take what? You
don't think he should be locked up?
just get rid of him.
Kill him?
Yeah.
I don't think they have the death penalty for that.
Well, they should.
They should. I mean, it's England. They should bring him to the Tower of London and do it old school, like torture him.
I don't know. That song is good.
Like
Put him on
behead
one of
him.
those pyramids. You ever see the pyramid one?
Yes.
It goes into your hiney.
Oh, and it just splits you open.
And they said even if you survived it, the disease would have killed you.
Yeah.
Just a
Come
crow
on.
picking at your asshole.
I mean,
They got away with using this in the Joker movie because he doesn't own it anymore.
he doesn't get. I don't necessarily head.
For rain? No. Dun,
You're not even the rhythm's
listen to me.
off.
Dun, 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 dun,
Exactly.
You're not even playing the drum part.
But I'm not a drummer.
You're playing the guitar.
I'm not a drummer. Bobby played drums on the show. He knows more about drums
That's
than
it.
her.
He learned how to play drums.
You're better than her.
So,
You're fucking you who played a drummer are better drummer than Meg White. She's very pretty. She has nice feet.
I mean, I
Very
wouldn't. There's no.
Let me see it.
Why are you mouthing words?
You can say it, Bob. We're adults.
I don't want to be a dirty bird on the radio. It's early.
It's the morning.
Hey, can we look her
My
up?
friend
We don't
Lenny's
do that.
wife is listening, and I don't want her to think I'm a pervert.
Shout out.
Lenny Marcus's
She's
wife
a
is
delightful
she's
woman.
a big fan, and
Yeah,
I don't want her
she's
to
delightful.
think she's delightful.
I would like to see her hooch.
Lenny's wife?
No.
Oh,
Meg
Jesus
White.
It sound like you're
Christ.
saying Lenny's wife.
Dude, have a pause.
Meg White. We're talking about Meg
All
White
right,
already.
fine. I didn't know. All right.
People know that we're digressing and coming back. I'm on the same. I want to see the hooch of this woman on Meg White.
Troy's energy is like he's almost done with this show.
He's been done with this show since 2019.
Yeah, it's been years.
He's a fucking DJ. It's hard to listen to this nonsense when you're a fucking pussy machine.
You think Troy cleaned up back in the day?
Why do we have to talk about me
Fucking
cleaning up back in the
clean
Are you a pussy
up.
machine?
No, I'm engaged. Bob.
You're engaged?
I am.
I didn't know that.
Not anymore. He's a good boy, but
But
Yeah,
back,
you're a-
before he was engaged,
Yeah.
before back in the day.
Dude, if you looked at him
Yeah.
back in the early aughts, each finger was a different color from a different girl's vagina.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah.
A listener sent something for Troy, which I'm going to go get right now because
Okay.
What is it?
you'll see.
Lube?
It's a surprise.
Oh no.
Jim, you think he used
Hey,
that
bring
thing
up the
between
photos.
his legs?
yeah. Why don't you bring up the?
We're talking.
What
We're
do you
talking
want?
about
You,
Troy.
you want to see Meg White's cunt?
Yeah.
No, boobs.
Oh.
Where'd you get those stylish pants, dude?
No, thanks. These are G-Star.
Yeah.
Those are nice, man.
G-star. You know what the real star is? What's under him?
That's
Yeah,
right.
that
He
fucking,
used that thing, man.
Yeah, that.
Jim, be honest. You think Troy used that thing?
He dragged that dick across pussies like a stegosaurus tail. Just dragged it.
Is that true, Troy?
No.
Back in the day?
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
You ever
Yeah.
finger fuck 3 girls at the same time?
Not-
standing up in a bar while you're DJing.
You did that, right?
No, that does sound fun, though.
Yeah, nah, because your
Meg
hands
White-
would stink.
Meg
Yeah.
White cunt?
No, nude. Just type in nude.
Troy, you just want to say the word. You're
Yeah,
just
it's
having
a fun word. I get it.
You just.
We can say it, and we do.
Yeah, but some people say it. It sounds bad.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
John on Long Island. What's up, John?
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Better now.
Every time I hear Sam talk about music, like especially a band that I like, it makes me hate the band. It makes me never want to listen to the band again.
So don't listen.
I just, oh my God. Like, you want it to be so special, and it's just so awful when you talk about it. I
agree with
cannot listen.
Troy, you agree?
Yes, I do.
You're trying to help him out, but John is not doing a good job of coming up with words to explain his point.
Oh, I don't know where to begin.
What is it, John? That
Go ahead.
Why don't you like Sam liking a band?
Hearing Sam talk about, I mean, you guys never had a band that you liked, and there was somebody that liked it that you couldn't stand, and then you just couldn't listen to the band anymore. And I like Sam. I just can't stand when he talks about bands.
Yeah.
He sounds so dumb. I just can't.
I just like that you've decided this thing, and then
To the
people
right.
go, "What are the reasons?"
Down.
And you can't illustrate the point.
Maybe it just sounds so stupid.
Yeah.
Like when you talk, I don't mean it in a bad way.
Oh, okay. I wasn't taking it. Yeah.
No, because listen, Sam, I love you and Jim there, but oh my God, when you talk about music, my God, it just turns everybody off to it.
Well, John, I think based on this phone call, you have illustrated the art of conversation better than I ever could.
Come on, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Oh, don't, John. Just take the hit. Don't stumble into more words.
No, John. I think John should be heard.
I do too.
I think so too, but I don't like him falling for Sam's little traps. I'm trying to help.
I don't know why that is. It's like I don't know why it is. I just figure, God, it's just so painful.
Go ahead.
Sam is Dougville when it comes to talking about music. I just cannot do it.
Bob is now adding more to the show than John on Long Island.
Damn those veggie chips.
Listen, I'm sorry. I'm just saying. It's gross.
Harder than it looks, huh, John?
But listen, people are listening to you talk about the White Stripes and that other awful band that you played. I don't know what the hell that is.
That was now you're insulting Bob.
That was Bobby's.
Bob insisted on playing.
Now
something.
you're going down a path you might not be able to get back from.
They're talking about that, like grown ass men talking about like kid music. That's what it sounds like.
What is your? Can you please help us and tell us what band we should talk about?
The White Stripes have not been a band in like.
No. I'm not talking about the White Stripes. I'm talking about that other one.
Okay, so your problem is not with me. Your problem is 100% with Bob Kelly.
No.
No.
Bob is like he's going along with it, and maybe he's a little fruity, but
a little bit.
To be quite honest,
but that's
just talking about
every artist.
Just hearing Sam talking about music is just too much.
I think it's you talking about anything is too much. I think the word he should say you talking and then period.
Yeah.
I'm going to help him with this.
Well, hold on. I want to hear what he says. Go ahead, sir. Keep going.
You got this, John.
Well, listen, I don't know. It's like someone that doesn't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Talking about that.
So you're saying that when I describe things that I like, wait, John, you're saying when I describe things that I like or dislike, I do a poor job of explaining why.
No, you make it uncool.
Yeah. Oh man, I would hate that.
Please don't talk about it. Oh my God, you should just sit those conversations out. You should.
Well,
I
can think of one conversation that somebody could have sat out.
Listen, I'm not busting balls. I'm just saying.
Okay.
God.
That should be John's show. I'm not busting balls. I'm just saying. Okay, all right.
I'm just saying. What is this? Like, what's next? What's the next band you got to talk about?
Well,
Who cares?
John, we'll leave you on the line. Mike has some advice for you, John. What's up, Mike in New Jersey?
Yes, Sean.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good morning, John. Shut the fuck up, you cunt. They make auditory orgasms every day. They make beautiful radio. Shut the fuck up. If you don't like it, change the channel, you fucking cocksucker. You hear that? Strong Island, you fucking queer. Shut the fuck up.
What did I do?
I could barely hear that guy. He sounds like he has balls in his mouth. Listen. Stop talking. My cunt in my mouth. You fucking asshole. Shut up. Douchebag. Oh, I can't. It's painful. Right. Listen, for most of your listeners that don't watch
anyway, hey, Jim.
Yes.
They're dying.
Jim, I want to tell you something on an unrelated topic from a while back. I saw you at Levity and you look fucking radiant in those corduroys. I never had a chance to tell you about that, bud.
Thank you very much. I'm wearing a pair of cords now.
nice
I appreciate that very much. Thank you kindly.
And there's nothing better in this chilly weather, a fine trouser for weather like today.
True. I don't think you're wrong. You too, buddy. A warm, comfortable slack.
I mean, it is the cure for what ails you.
Sure is.
I got a new belt.
You like your
I
belt?
got the
Hope you wear it as a
new-
tie.
new-
Okay.
I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Bob was here.
See a broken rafter?
Not anymore.
No,
Not
Jim
anymore.
still likes the fat jokes.
I mean, come on.
He's still
they're
a
there.
fat joke mechanic.
I'll tell you what, if you did, it would definitely, the belt would stay on because you got that nice jawline now.
Unlike
Before.
Oh, I thought you meant Jim.
Oh, no, Jim would slide right off.
are true.
Yeah. Jim would slide right off.
You
yeah,
before
that's for
me
sure.
since 1968.
Wait a minute. That's your oh.
It is. Yeah.
I did. I got a new. I think you might like this belt, Jimmy.
He's showing his dick.
No, he's not. He's showing the belt. It's a plastic belt. Wow.
Oh, okay, I was going to go for Joe.
You know what? That's pretty. Oh, sorry. I apologize. Oh, literal Jim. You can't see. I literally just answered Sam's joke.
Not true, Sam.
What are those things on it? Are they
Balls.
fish?
Well, it's called design.
Oh, so
Or you can get a black. You can get a black belt, whatever color you want.
What makes the belt special, Bob? Jim's touching it now. Oh. Okay, this. I wish we had video because
He's jerking him off.
The angle that I'm at.
So weird.
This is a wild thing to see. He's giving it a tug.
What do you think?
It's cool. I like, but it almost feels like how do you loosen it? Because I don't like a tight belt. Makes me take
what
off.
makes the
It's
belt
on the
special?
inside, so there's no flap. I don't like the flap on a belt, and you have to put it through the hoops. I hate that.
Yeah.
Why-
I didn't even want to show it to you.
So you-
Well, I speak for the listeners when I say like there was just
I'm going to
silence.
explain. I'm going to explain it right now.
Please do.
I'm going to explain, but I need to show it to the main shark on Shark Tank.
That's right.
I wanted to show it to him
We did a
first.
Shark Tank bit yesterday.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll
it's
do a Shark Tank. Thank you. 2 thumbs up.
That's not Shark Tank.
Oh, fuck.
What's he talking about?
I don't know, but I like it. I like old crooked mouth Jim.
Yeah. It's my new smile. I debuted it recently. I debuted my new smile.
The soft launch of the smile.
Yeah. You missed it, but I debuted it and it was a hit.
It's an arcade belt. It's an elastic belt, and it has like a clip in front, really thin. So it's not like belts. That belt buckle sucks.
Yeah.
Especially flying, traveling. It's always fucking in your gut, all that shit.
You wear pants? I wear a sweatpants. I really do. I fly with sweatpants with no underwear.
I got these new pants from True Classics. They're elastic jeans.
I don't like elastic.
Look at-
They
look at-
hug me too
feel
much.
it. No, they don't.
Let me see.
Touch his waist and midsection.
There's a lot
again,
of
Jim.
touching going
Yeah,
on.
these are two guys that have known each other for a long time.
How great are
that
those?
They're great.
exploring.
I mean, dude,
They're comfy.
these True Classic jeans, they're elastic jeans. They look like jeans, but when you sit down, you feel like they stretch.
I like a good stretchy jean.
Dude, stretchy jean with this new belt.
You should get a designer belt. Like you got a nice watch on. You should get like a Gucci belt or
Dude,
a Louis belt
for,
or a,
for what?
Yeah, for what? You don't need a Gucci
I'm not
belt.
showing my belt. I'm not tucking shit in. I'm not. I
You're not
lost
a
weight.
designer
I didn't
fucking-
lose that much weight.
You
I
look
still
very
have
good, though.
20 pounds, 30 pounds left.
You look great.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, dude. I don't belt, but this belt is comfortable and it has no flap. And
You don't like the flap?
I don't
He's
like
like
the
a flap.
flap.
No, he's like a flap.
I need a belt, but I don't like the flap. The jeans, they're nice jean material, but they're stretchy.
Yeah.
True Classic. The only T-shirt I wear now too, because it has tight up top and loose down the bottom.
See, I don't like tight up top though, unless they're the shoulders. 'Cause I don't want my tits being hugged.
Yeah, but look, I like it. It's like tight up top. It's not loose because when you put down here, it's nice.
Yeah, you don't want it to grip the bottom.
No, not a sponsor. I just all I wear.
Bring
is
them on
True
board.
Classic.
Yeah, you
Huh?
should.
Should bring them on board
On
on
your
your
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah, unbelievable. They're the best. The best T-shirts out there.
Yeah.
I prefer
Yeah.
James Purse, but it's me.
Yeah. How much is your T-shirt?
$100.
Will you pay for it?
What?
$100 for a T-shirt?
A fucking what?
But I keep them for years.
Man,
I keep clothes
my man,
for years.
My man is living
$100
that
a T-shirt?
life. My man is living
Now I
that
know why he wears them with
life.
holes.
Dude.
I do, but I keep a shirt for years.
no, you do.
Bang.
My guy.
I don't
Boom.
care. I'll
That's
keep
a
a shirt
lot.
for years.
Most of my T-shirts were free.
Yeah, I also wear my own merchandise though, as you know.
Yeah, but you gotta. This is Jim's flex. right? This is when people got to realize what they're dealing with. Jim will wear a free hoodie with a $100 T-shirt under it just because he can.
I like that
that's
style.
Jim's flex.
I like that.
Like,
And
you don't even
but
know.
Jim will wear a shitty T-shirt, little hoodie, $100 T-shirt, and then take you to like a Michelin star restaurant.
That's right.
And order like fish, and you order like steak, and he'll pay for everything.
He's the man like that.
Yeah.
He got cash.
He'll ask you for a bite of yours, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Friends share.
Friends share.
Friends
and I'll
share.
offer a bite too.
Yeah, well,
Boom.
that's never happened. But
Bite
listen,
for a
the
bite.
thing is,
And as the most trusted VPN by casual users and experts. Features like Threat Protection Pro safeguard your devices from phishing websites. Scan downloads for malicious files. And disable intrusive ads and trackers so you can surf more safely online. Just check NordVPN.com, grab the deal, and see for yourself. By the way, you can protect up to 10 devices with one account. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Todd is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Hi, I'm Todd, and I live in Georgia. I'm a veteran of 23 years. I love to give back to the community, whether it's my fellow veterans, some guy on the street corner. I offer what I can, when I can. I started noticing that my memory was slipping, and I wanted to take proactive measures to try to help that. I saw a Prevagen commercial, and I did some research on it, and I wanted to find out, does this stuff really work? I started taking Prevagen about 3 years ago. Since taking Prevagen, I feel clearer in my thoughts, my memory has improved, and generally just more on point.
Prevagen is available in stores everywhere without a prescription. Based on a clinical study of subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired, this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
If you're a business owner with salespeople, how in the world could you say no to this offer? The top 20% of your salespeople close 80% of the business. 80% of all sales are closed after the 5th attempt, and 83% of all salespeople don't even ask for the sale once. Did you know that 90% of all salespeople have never even read one sales book? How many sales are being lost each month? Simply because your salespeople are not professionally trained how to sell. Hi, this is the world's top sales trainer, Jason Evans. I'm going to give you a free 45-minute video of pure sales training techniques that will increase your company's sales within days, guaranteed. This could double, even triple your company's sales. This video is closing, handling objections, and more. Just call us and leave us a voicemail with your email address, and we'll send you this amazing video for free. Call 800-500-8320. This is how to close from A to Z for any product or service, regardless of industry, whether you sell face-to-face or over the phone. Call 800-500-8320. That's 800-500-8320. Paid for by Power Sales University.
Pet piggy boy, pet piggy boy. A little Jim and Nortaliza fed the piggy boy. Pet piggy boy, pet piggy boy. A little Jim and Nortaliza fed the piggy boy. Pet piggy boy, pet piggy boy. Little Jim and Nortaliza fed the piggy boy. Pet piggy boy, pet piggy boy. Little Jim and Nortaliza fed the piggy boy. Pet piggy boy, pet piggy boy. Little Jim and Nortaliza fed the piggy boy.
From Jersey to Ibiza, they say it doesn't get sweeter.
From the bustling streets of Lagos to the favelas of Rio. SiriusXM Tropics is a melting pot of rhythms from Africa, the Caribbean, and beyond. Get away to Tropics. One of more than 200 extra channels available in the SiriusXM app.
The biggest game of the season, right here, right now.
Start Saturday strong. It's Big Noon Saturday on Fox.
And here we go.
It all starts at 10 Eastern with Big Noon Kickoff, live with an epic pregame.
The crowd, the atmosphere, this is what makes it special.
Then it's America's #1 game.
What a hit.
The best pregame, the best announcers, the biggest games.
Down the sideline, touchdown.
It's Big Noon Saturday, noon Eastern on Fox.
Hi,
I'm Steven Singer. Yep, that's me, the I Hate Steven Singer guy. Other jewelers hate me. Here's why. You're in love. You found that special someone, and now you're ready to tell the world that you're ready for love. You know what I'm saying, right? You want to get her the perfect diamond engagement ring, but it seems so hard. Other jewelers just love to make it complicated. This diamond is H color, VS1 clarity with no fluorescence and a 60% table. Why do they make it so confusing? How about just making it easy? At Steven Singer Jewelers, we've done all the work for you. It can be easy. Just check out our Ready for Love collection of beautiful diamond engagement rings that are ready to go. You can pick any style and price range you like. Our real jewelers and gemologists have matched the perfect diamond and the perfect setting just for you. Easy peasy. Can you imagine the look on her face when you slide that ring on her finger and ask her, will you marry me? Check out the entire collection of our Ready for Love engagement rings at the other corner of 8th and Walnut with free parking, or online at IHateStevenSinger.com with free shipping. IHateStevenSinger.com. One place, one price.
You know, as they say, one person's personal information is another person's treasure.
That's why I don't go online without connecting to NordVPN. I don't want anyone stealing my personal information and snooping on my browsing activity. Also, TechRadar named NordVPN as the most trusted VPN by casual users and experts. Features like Threat Protection Pro safeguard your devices from phishing websites, scan downloads for malicious files, and disable intrusive ads and trackers so you can surf more safely online. Just check NordVPN.com, grab the deal, and see for yourself. By the way, you can protect up to 10 devices with one account. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Remember when a handshake meant something? When service came with a smile and expertise you could trust? That's the Werner way. We've been navigating the twists and turns of the transportation and logistics industry for 68 years. We're still here, still committed to getting your precious cargo from point A to point B, with customized solutions and exceptional service at our core. We'll deliver your goods with the same care and precision we've been known for nearly 7 decades. Delivering beyond expectations. That's the Werner difference. Learn how at selectwerner.com.
If you sat through all those commercials, this better be good. Jim and Sam are back.
What's up, man? Our guest just walked in. Jeff Ross is here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Jeff.
How's everyone doing today?
Good. How are you doing, man?
This is good. I'm happy to be in New York. Happy to see everybody.
I like that hoodie.
Thanks.
It's cool.
And the last time I saw you was, I always see you at weird times. You were walking between the cellar and the Village Underground, and you were kind of going over eulogy for Gilbert.
Ooh.
That was the last time I saw you. You were like, yeah,
Wow.
I don't think I've seen you since then.
About a year and a little over a year ago.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I missed that guy.
Yeah.
I did a late night show last night and did sort of a tribute to him. It's been a big part of my act lately, talking about these guys. Saget, Gilbert, Norm.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
It is a crazy run.
Oh, there's that picture of you with them, all three of them. Which
Oh,
I'm sure you've
yeah.
seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
At Jones Restaurant in Hollywood.
When you see pictures like that, like I'll see one once in a while, I'm like, I'm the only one alive from this picture. It's depressing, but it's also like, wow, I'm glad to be alive.
The alternative is death.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that, there's the picture. Look at that. Everyone's dead, including my afro.
Yeah, yeah.
And Will Smith also passed away. I feel bad, at least in the comedy world. Gone but not forgotten.
Yeah.
Bob Saget, Norm Macdonald.
Gilbert.
And Gilbert. I love those guys. I spoke at 2 of their funerals. And in my new show, I've been doing a tribute to those guys with pictures and videos and shouting those guys out in my solo show that I'm doing here at the festival next month.
What is the show?
It's called Take a Banana for the Ride. Something my grandfather used to say to me when I was an open micer in Jersey. He was sick. I would take care of him all day. Then I'd go into New York to do the open mics, and he'd give me a banana and a few dollars for the Holland Tunnel and say, take a banana for the ride. And I held on to that. It was his way of saying, I can't go with you, but I'm going with you in spirit.
Right.
And the show kind of takes off from there.
So it's a tribute to family and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I guess so. It's a life and death kind of theme. It's not necessarily autobiographical. It's a communal, cathartic experience about life and death.
Are you going to add Suzanne Summers to it?
Suzanne Summers just made the list.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's not a morbid show. It's a very cathartic, uplifting celebration of life. L'chaim. Who doesn't need that right now?
That's
true. I experienced loss. Jim knows this about me as a teenager. Lost my parents as a young man. So I learned early on about, that we're made to mourn and move on. You can't mourn forever or part of you dies. And that's a double tragedy. So took that kind of attitude of not feeling sorry for myself and wrote it into a one-person show that I did in New York in the 90s as a young comic before all the roast stuff took off. And once the roast started hitting in the late 90s, I was like, fuck it, I'm not digging up these graves anymore. Let me just roast Flavor Flav. It'll be a lot more fun. And it was. But after losing those 3 buddies, I wanted to look back at how I was feeling when I lost my first round of buddies. And it really helping me, and more importantly, it helping other people, because the notes and messages that I've been getting after the workshops have been really inspiring.
How do you handle stuff? Are you good with death, or are you awful with it?
I've learned to get good at it just by sheer experience. My parents left me a superpower that you both have, called a sense of humor that will get me through almost anything. One story I tell briefly in the new show is about my father dying. Cocaine, the whole thing gets pretty intense. If you want to hear a great 80s cocaine story, come to the show. And my dad, recently single. My mom had just passed away, and he's out partying and having a great life and whatnot. No one's judging him, but whatever. His
Channel 49 and the Sirius XM app.
West a minute, he jumped a curb, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on with this guy? So I'm like, Dad, I don't know, I think I should go by myself. And that's when I started to realize, this guy's on a rage.
Who's doing coke?
Yeah, and he had a cerebral hemorrhage that year and a year later, and that was it. I was on my own.
And did you start thinking back, oh, that explains he was in a weird mood that a year ago? And
I started detectiving it a little, but honestly, It's a great question. I didn't feel anger and didn't feel a need to uncover all the ghosts. I was like, it was the 80s. He was going to work every day, making money for the first time, single for the first time in a long, long time. My mom had passed away, and I was like, go have fun, do your thing. I didn't understand how dangerous it was. Kind of everybody was kind of partying back then, if you're, an adult in the 80s with any kind of money. And it wound up being a thing where he just, he fucked his life up. He fucked my sister and I's lives up. But it always felt like a losing attitude to feel sorry for myself or to get angry at him. So Yeah. It's just something, I guess, maybe I am somewhere in there angry. I never really broke it down too much with a shrink or anything. And when I do get to that part of the show, sometimes I skip parts of it by accident. I think there's a blind spot in there for me. I'm still kind of putting it together. I ran it last night. I did a workshop at midnight last night, and I do find myself kind of stammering and stuttering through certain parts of the show, and the audience can sense that because it's not 100% written, and I remember more than I'm saying sometimes. And
like you're censoring yourself as you go?
I don't know if I'm censoring myself or something in me censoring it, like that I don't even control.
Interesting.
What are you doing, protecting him?
No, it's like, here's what it is, Jim. It's like, these people died when I was 17 and 19, my mother and father. And I read letters in the show that I found that they wrote to each other. A love letter from college, and a letter that my mom wrote, 20 years later, maybe, from the hospital bed when she was sick and dying, to my dad. So they all kind of were very hopeful and kind of funny. My parents were hilarious, totally hilarious. And my mom had a great laugh. and big tits. So my dad he'd love to make her laugh and bounce up and down. It was like a show within a show. So, it was a lot of laughter through all this pain, and they both gained a lot of weight, and they would fight and stuff. So I kind of try to navigate all the emotions I might have been feeling as a teenager, but without it feeling sappy. And what I did was I would go up at the clubs and talk about this stuff almost in a comedy club way, so that I knew I had a valve release, a good joke, or a funny thought at the end, and then I could go back and layer in the real story, the real emotion. And I use music. I have a piano player and a violin player, and I have videos and slides that come up behind me as background. So I wanted it to be sort of immersive, where once you're in it, it's like a train you can't get off. The show just kind of goes, and by the end, I bring people up on stage who might be going through their own shit or might have something to celebrate, sort of a celebration of life. And it works. Had a lady open up the other day about having scleroderma. Another lady beat cancer. Last night it was just some guy's birthday. So I try to make it a party within a comedy show.
Was there anything, like, as you've worked it out, have there been moments where you're going through stuff on stage going like, ooh, that was real? Like, you feel like, oh, I haven't really dealt with that emotion yet.
I had a slip the other night, which I might just keep in the show. I was at the Wilbur Theater trying this out in Boston in front of 1,100 people who were not there to see a show called Take a Banana for the Ride. They were just there to see Jeff Ross live, whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's a Saturday night. It's packed. And I hadn't been there in a long time. And you know how it is when you haven't been in a city in a long time. People have been waiting and waiting and waiting, and they got their T-shirts and they got.
No, I
their
don't know what
drinks.
that's like.
Oh yeah, you do, baby. And I've seen it in person, Jim. And I just started doing the show.
Did you have the video and stuff?
I didn't have the video, but I had the music. And I just said, let me just basically try it on them. And it'll be a little bit of a hard fit for Saturday night, I thought, maybe, because it's not, all about sex and fun. It's a little bit more theatrical and emotional. And I got about halfway through it, and I see a couple people tearing up at certain points, but people are laughing and banging on their chairs. And it got particularly quiet after I talked about my mom passing away. And I said, I guess that's what, and at 19, I was sitting there thinking, this is what life is. You think it's going to be one thing, and then it's another. Like when you go to a comedy show and the guy just starts talking about his dead relatives. And that kind of gave it a release where they knew I wasn't having a nervous breakdown.
Right.
I was trying to help myself and also help them.
Did you finish the show, or was it one of those things where you did some and then went away from it?
No, I was disciplined in that I really wanted to finish the show. And it's about an hour and 20 minutes long. And it's just me up there. No openers or anything like that. And it was great. It really worked out well, so much so that I've now booked it at some other festivals, and it premieres at the New York Comedy Festival, November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And I'm nervous. I'm excited. I haven't been this dug into a creative idea in a long time, so I feel pretty good about it.
By the way, it's at the venue at the Hard Rock Hotel in New York City, November 3rd through the 5th. Yeah, so you can get tickets, roastmastergeneral.com, at Real Jeffrey Ross on Twitter, at The Real Jeffrey Ross on Instagram. It is always super fascinating to me when people have that experience that you just described, where it's like at 15, 16 years old, you're like, okay, this is probably what my life is going to look like. And then you get to 19 and the whole world is now completely different.
And free. I never looked at it as like, holy fuck, why me? Mm-hmm. To me, it was like, oh, I can kind of don't have to make anybody proud. So I started, going to college, broke out of the family catering hall tradition, was doing Rocky Horror Picture Show in fishnet stockings in Boston, and picked up a camera and was a film major. And when I came out of college, my buddy Mark Chapin from college was like, why don't you try the stand-up comedy class taught over here by the Port Authority? And I was like, all right, fuck it. He's like, maybe you'll meet chicks, maybe you'll have a creative outlet. So it all became, I don't want to say happy accidents, but there's a silver lining everywhere. Anybody listening thinking, oh, my life sucks, everything, I'm sitting here taking care of my parents or my sick uncle or whatever the fuck it is, you'll be proud of this time later on. And I didn't realize that at the time, but I'm old enough now to see that, that it, even when the shit's really dark, one thing I say in there, and you'll know this from visiting soldiers, wounded people, or any USO shows, like, if you're really down in the dumps or nervous about something, you can take your face and put a fake smile on it, and more often than not, it'll become a real smile. Sounds corny, but it is a trick that works, and I use it if I'm entertaining, wounded people or talking to John Lovitz or whatever I need it for.
Whatever makes you really suicidal.
Yeah, right. It works. No, I love John.
I've been, it's funny, man. I've thought of you a few times recently, too, because I've talked on the show a lot about this Kiss poster obsession I've gotten into. Do you collect anything like that? Like, I go back, it's like being in the 50s. It's like being a childish. He's a huge, Jeff and I went to see Kiss together. What was it, 96? It was
that long ago?
I think it was in Philly. Didn't we go to Philly?
We went down to Philly, but we also saw Kiss and Aerosmith at the Garden.
Right.
And I've gone since then, and I want to go again in December because this might be it. And it's like, it takes me right back to those days of taking the 114 bus on Route 22 to Port Authority to go in to see Kiss, and my first concert ever was there. My mom was in the hospital. It was the Kiss, I guess, was it either Dynasty or Alive 2, like 79. And
Dynasty, yeah.
And sitting in the last row with my sister, and my Aunt Carol took us, and man, right at the end when Rock and Roll All Night comes on, my aunt's like, we got to catch the last bus home. So pulling us out during the fireworks as a little kid was brutal. And it did all kind of come around full circle. Last month, Dave Chappelle asked me to host his birthday run at the Garden.
Yeah.
So I went and had my old combat boots resoled and painted. And I was like, I'm going to wear these fucking boots, rock star style, on stage at the Garden, and I did. I would host the shows, different guests every night, and then Dave would do an hour, and then they would have to reset the stage for music. They had Travis Scott and Justin Timberlake and all these people coming up. So I went around the floor of the Garden with a camera and roasted people, volunteers on the Jumbotrons.
Oh, that's awesome.
While they were setting up?
Yeah, while the stage was getting set up for the, second half of the show. So I made it like my own little catering hall for a week, and I really had a blast.
The Garden.
The Garden.
That's awesome.
There's nothing like walking in that back door with your friends and having your own dressing room back there and, 15, 18,000 people, being able to say I'm home and here we are. And
you were roasting people in the audience while they were setting up?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was great, man. It was like once they opt in and they're up there on the Jumbotron, it's like a king for a day kind of thing. You could just say anything, and it was really, really fun.
Yeah, you do these really interesting gigs that I would be afraid to do. Like, again, on the board, all these non-comedy club gigs, these non-traditional things, which I would never be good at doing.
Why?
I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't believe in it. I wouldn't do it. But you do these things like the police department roast, like all this weird shit that just I wouldn't think to do.
It's funny because I have a hard time just doing a regular show. I never had maybe the confidence in my material or my storytelling to go, I'm just going to be a guy on stage. It probably would have been fine, and I probably would have done well that way, but every time I have a chance to schmaltz it up, I take it. I got a good act, but what if I did it in a maximum security jail so that I get interrupted every 15 seconds by some crazy heckler?
Oh, wait, what was the story, too, with the guy who your act got brought up in some court proceeding for a death row inmate? Or am I fucking it up?
It's still pending. I guess it was 7-8 years ago now. I did a Comedy Central special, which people can still watch on Paramount, I guess, where I went to Brazos County Jail in Texas. It was the only jail in America that agreed to let me come in. They have a lot of autonomy down there with their jails, and it's not too far from the border. The jail administrator down there said, okay, you can come down, but you have to give me a month's notice because I want to use it to get good behavior out of the inmates.
Smart.
So everybody had to write a little note as to why they wanted to go to the show, and I didn't ask what anybody's crimes were. I said, I just throw me in there, and whatever they tell me, they tell me. I went down a week early. I played basketball. I ate lunch and dinner there. I got to know the guards. I got to know most of the inmates.
Oh, at the jail, you were going in every day?
Yeah.
When you say you ate, you mean you ate like lunch and dinner like in the cafeteria, like with the inmates?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And one of the days, to answer your question, like, and you know, they were fun. My whole premise was like, if you can laugh at yourself, you're one step closer to freedom. And it had a very sort of, you know, country, Texas, Johnny Cash feel to it. I had a guitar and everybody's in orange jumpsuits, and I kind of immersed myself so that I wouldn't feel like a total outsider. And
it's probably smart to do that week before you go on stage, because then it's not like you're just going up on stage cold.
They kind of know you.
Yeah, they know you. You're kind of you're a little bit more familiar with the environment.
I shaved my Jufro so I wouldn't look like one of their lawyers. And one of the dudes sitting at the table one day was the only Asian dude in the whole jail. 19 years old, also like one of the youngest people I'd seen there, and he just kind of voluntarily sits down and starts talking to me, and he's surrounded by these like big old boys, like Proud Boy types with swastika tattoos and shit like that, and they were all kind of like deferring to him and talking about, and I was like, what is up with this guy? And I didn't get much out of him, nor did I ask. But he made some joke. I said, what are you in for? Like, not my best moment, but I said, like, hacking a computer, which was big coming off the elections into Trump. And he laughed and he said, hacking something. And I find out later that he hacked up a beloved college professor at Texas A&M and almost killed his wife, who was in a wheelchair, and he claimed that he just wanted to see someone die. And of course, it was very chilling, and I cut him out of the cut. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't want the show to take that turn.
Kind of a bummer.
And a little time went by, and they used my footage at his sentencing to demonstrate that he was unremorseful. Which I thought wasn't fair, because he was just trying to survive. He was just kind of trying to just keep up with the other guys that were there and making jokes and something like that. And
bragging in front of the TV cameras.
Like how much truth was in his statement, or how much of it was just for whatever that moment was.
It was just him killing an hour in jail.
Yeah.
Right.
And he'd already been there a year or two. And he was still only like 19, 20 years old. But he was brutal guy, brutal murderer, openly confessed that he wanted to watch somebody die.
Oh, he did say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Supreme Court, I guess, has agreed to take on his appeal, so we'll see what happens.
So when he said that, they said he wasn't remorseful, they used that in his sentencing to get him a stiffer sentence?
Yeah.
What was? Yeah, I think for the death sentence.
Oh, you got the death. Oh, I see. Okay.
It was a death
he's
sentence.
on death row in Texas.
So he might have been life imprisonment without parole,
right,
if it wasn't for that particular thing of zero remorse.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to let them probably use that. Like,
they used it.
No. Meaning the Supreme Court will probably.
I have a feeling the Supreme Court might not even help this guy, because he's pretty despicable. It's a tricky one. It really is. I didn't want to be in the middle of it. Being a comedian is like a backstage pass to the universe. I'm learning about Supreme Court and death penalties and solitary confinement and just how to talk to people about incarceration. It was a really eye-opening experience.
Was anyone a dick to you in jail? Like, was there anyone where like, oh, that's right, this is where I am?
Yeah, a couple of the Nazis.
Really?
They just weren't having it. And then, of course, I would make fun of them the most first to show the gangbangers that I was serious. Yeah, I told one guy, like, the war's over, but that too lasts forever, man. And, they're getting out now. So it's kind of terrifying. Some of these guys are out.
So wait, this is on stage you were making fun of them, or to their face? Well, I mean in person.
Yeah, on stage.
Okay.
And it's all on camera. You can watch the show. Yeah.
Did they laugh?
Yeah, they were the greatest crowd ever. it was like one of those things where you come out, you do a joke. I was bringing people on stage, lining them up and roast them like I do in my live stand-up shows. And, you know, you get a laugh in that environment. First of all, the murderers, unbeknownst to me, were all up front where security could get to them the quickest.
That makes sense.
So I didn't know that at the time, and we had a security meeting, but I guess I didn't pick up on that. And I come out, I go, "Where are my murderers at?" And 3 guys in the first and second row raised their hand, and you just saw the crowd saw it in my face, like, "Oh my God!" And you know, kind of took it from there. And then I did a set in the women's dorm also, which was in a lot of weird ways very humanizing and also very. I feel like it gave him some hope. The sheriff told me afterwards no one had talked to them as women in a long time. They'd been talked to as inmates.
Right.
And I'd done some training with human rights groups before I went in, and they sort of taught me not to say prisoner, criminal, to say person who's in jail, person who's incriminated. And once I got that, I think I had a little bit more swagger and understanding of how to break through with jokes.
That's interesting because they spend so much time being not referred to as a person.
Right.
Right. That it's like, wow.
Right. Garbage, human dust that we tuck away forever.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like 90% of anybody in jail right now is coming out eventually.
And how
could
are they
be in a week, could be in a year, could be in 10 years, but they are our neighbors. And when you start to figure that out, you start to go, what am I going to judge these people for?
Right,
they're coming out. They're part of our society.
Yeah, at some point they're going to be contributing members of society again.
Or criminals again.
So, yeah.
It's a hell of a world. But it was a good experience because, you know, as somebody who sold weed in high school and shit like that, I realized like how lucky I was. Born white, born with 2 parents that kind of got me over the finish line, raising me just enough. Taught me a little karate, so I had, you know, could take care of myself. So I felt very lucky when I was doing all that.
Yeah. You still train?
No, but I remember some of the moves. The belt doesn't fit around my waist.
Yeah.
I put the Jew in jiu-jitsu.
And I also love, and I think I saw you. I was going into Comedy Central with Jonathan, and I think I actually saw you right before you went down to the border. You did that thing where you roasted people on the border, I think in Texas and Juarez.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the actual show, but I think I saw you right before you went down to the
You'd love it, Jimmy, because, you know, you say, like, you could never go, you know, off the stage and out into do some kind of different type of stunt. But I've never been that way. Like, I love the late night shows very much and SNL, but I've never been a behind the desk guy or like a regular stage guy. I like to take the comedy on an adventure or to the people. And when the administrations changed and there were all these build a wall and there was a Muslim ban, and I was like, what? Like, this country was built on refugees and immigrants. My ancestors are all from Eastern Europe, and it kind of broke my heart a little bit, especially living in California where so many immigrants are part of our world, part of my friends. So I got more and more curious about it and wrote kind of an act about immigration. And once again, wrote a bunch of letters to a bunch of those towns down there, and finally got them to agree. This little town in the Rio Grande Valley, the very, very southern tip of America, the tip of Texas.
What were you saying in the letters? Hey, I want to do a special, or I want to do stand-up on the border. How are you asking?
I said I want to do a free show for the migrant community along the border fence. Because the border fence runs right through these towns. Right. And there's bridges. Some people work on one side and live on another, or they have family on one side, and they just walk across fences with their passport every day. You know, we don't think about that here. But it's very common to, you know, live in one town and walk over to the hospital and the other across the U.S. border. And it's no different. Looks like the Holland Tunnel or the Lincoln Tunnel. And I thought it was kind of beautiful. So I was set up there. I expected about 100 people because Border Patrol at this point was really on top of that situation and intimidating a lot of people. But I made a kind of a truce with them, so they were around. but 500 people showed up on this random weekday night and camped out and put coolers and chairs, and I wrote a big long show about them, essentially, and I sang a song at the end, this land is your land, but I did verses in Mexican, all with jokes, and I would turn around and sing it to the Mexican side, and I had jokes about like being lonely, and what if I went on Tinder and matched with a chick on the other side of the border fence, and we met in the middle of the night, and I entered her illegally, and there was a lot of good jokes. I said I was El Chapo's Jewish cousin, El Cheapo, like just trying to make some light and bring some laughter to what was going on, which was a scary time. It always is down there, but it was particularly scary the way it was going at that time.
And you went into Juarez?
I went. What's the other town there? I'm a little tired right now, but right next to Juarez we had to have fixers from the cartels, and the cartels followed me around down there, and wow. Spent quite a bit of time on the Mexican side. Then I came back over to the American side. I saw a shooting, just a few feet away, 2 cars chasing each other. So it was, it was. I can't say anybody's right in that situation, but what I can say, it's a real mess, and there's a lot of violence and a lot of. I interviewed a woman who's about to give birth, who came over on a raft. The cops let me walk around down by the water, so people were coming over at certain times of night and just floating over. I spent half an hour talking to a young father and his 6-year-old son, and that's all in the show. Just sort of welcoming them to America, asking them how they feel about being here. In other words, the local cops, when they pick people up coming over, they'll call Border Patrol and say, we have one at these coordinates. And it could take 20, 30 minutes for Border Patrol to get there.
Right.
So they let me have that 20, 30 minutes.
Wow.
They were basically Mexican-American cops and sympathetic cops who wanted me to tell the story about what's going on down there. It's called Jeff Ross Roast the Border.
And when you go into a place where the cartel, it has a fixer will just go, look, this guy wants to come in, he's going to be filming, is it okay? How does that work?
It worked a lot like the show I did for the Boston Cops. There was a lot of no, and then you got to convince them and say that you're going to be even-handed, and then they'll say, well, why are you going to show this part? And I say, well, you want it to appear to be even-handed, so otherwise it's boring. And I want to shine light on what beautiful people live here and this part of the country. And I spoke to a coyote, covered his face in a mask. These guys who bring people over, and it's a very violent job. So they I masked their voices and faces, but I still got to know their friends, and I hear from some of these people still all the time, and when I go down there, they show up at my shows, and
wow,
I made a lot of really good friends and fans.
Your perspective must be just so nuts. I mean, all these instances much change the way you look at pretty much everything, because I don't think most people don't interact with that amount of people in general, but the fact that you've had human interactions, that these things are not just in principle, right? They're not just theories. You're like, no, I know a guy who did this. I know a guy who did that. It has to humanize everything.
I don't know if it's that I'm empathetic or that I'm not scared of certain things, or I think sometimes if I had kids or if my parents were alive, I might not be doing some of these.
That's what I was going to ask you. Did you? Because I was thinking about that too when you were talking about how there are shows that you just wouldn't want to do. Do you feel like when you lost your parents so young that it's almost like, well, I'm bulletproof now? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
It reminds me of the first time I got asked to go to Iraq. Drew Carey asked me 20 years ago last month, the early days of the Iraq occupation over there, and I was like. Woke up the next day, saw the UN headquarters had just been mortared. It was really, really fucked up and terrifying. And I kind of agreed when I had a couple beers at the Improv the night before, and then I wake up and I realize, what have I gotten myself into? And I call my sister Robin, who's amazing and a teacher up in Washington State. And I said, what do you think about me going to do this? And this is before any of us. I didn't know anybody who'd ever gone on a USO tour. It was from a different generation. It was from the Vietnam generation, the World War II generation. We would have been the first ones to go in. And she said, well, if Mommy and Daddy were alive, you probably would not be going to do this. And if you had kids, you definitely would not be going to do this. And I go, okay, I'm going. You know, I mean, that was enough. You know, it's like, well, there's a reason that my life turned out this way, and I think this might be part of it.
Yeah.
Because I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't have to make anybody proud, and I don't have to have too many people worried about me.
That's the freedom you were talking about.
My hotel room got hit with a mortar explosion. I was thinking if my mom was alive, she wouldn't have been able to handle worrying about me. So in a weird way, like I said, happy accidents, these weird silver linings in life that you take something shitty and you make it turn into art.
My parents are alive, and they encouraged me to go.
We went to one. We went to Guantanamo Bay, Jimbo.
That's right. 2006.
Best show we ever had. I ever had. It was the best. You, me, and Tony Woods.
Tony Woods was in the Navy, which I don't think I realized. And watching Tony do 45 minutes on the fucking Navy, I mean, it was all material that I think was kind of specific to soldiers and that experience. He's unbelievable. I mean, just to watch this guy do 45 minutes on something that I'd never seen him do, and he probably hasn't done. So he's really the most underrated guy I think in the business.
He's so hilarious. I remember calling Tony, who I still see all the time. He's so funny, mostly down in D.C. And I said, Tony, me and Jim Norton are going down. I'd made a documentary about my first trip to Iraq called Patriot Act, a home movie, and I wanted to go down there and give it away, you know, because it was during the whole Gitmo thing was really on fire and on the news all the time. And I remember thinking, well, there's an actual Marine base down there with a lot of people that are probably really starved for entertainment and lonely, and they're sort of being pushed aside, and there's actual like families down there. Let's go do a show. And my friend Joe Amadei put the whole thing together, who ran the video company at the time. And I remember calling, you were in right away. I called Tony and I go, can you come? And here's what the deal is. And he's like, okay, I'm in. And he calls me back. He goes, "Can I sell merch?" I go, "These guys are in the service. They're dedicating their lives. They're volunteering their freedom. You want to sell them stuff?" He goes, yeah. I want to make some extra money. I go, Tony, some of these guys lose arms and legs for their country, and without missing a beat, Tony goes, I got sleeveless. I love him so much.
I remember, how did we flew into Florida. Did we take a flight over there? How did we get to Cuba from Florida?
Did we stop in Florida, or did we stop in like Georgia, that big base? I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
But I do remember security into Gitmo was tighter than it was getting into Iraq.
Yeah.
They didn't want us filming anything, and obviously those torture that issue was front and center on everyone's minds at the time, torturing inmates for information and all those prisoners down there. So it was like I said, you know, I don't always understand everything we're doing, and I don't understand every part of an issue, but I do like that backstage pass to the world, being an eyewitness. And it gives you a little bit more swagger when you're talking about something, saying, I've been there, I've seen that, I met that person.
Yeah, I forgot I went there until you just said that. I mean, I saw pictures recently of us in front of that Gitmo sign. But like, if you didn't say that, I wouldn't have remembered that while you were here.
Yeah. Well, it's a very vivid memory for me. And you killed. I remember we all did way longer than we were supposed to because the crowd was so good. We were in this kind of dark, long room, and the crowd was much bigger than we anticipated. Right. And Guantanamo Bay was much bigger than I realized. There's like a whole community there, like a Truman Show-looking town. It's not all prison guards and torture chambers.
We went and got jerk chicken.
That's right.
I remember we got jerk chicken. I kind of wanted to see Cuba, too. There's no access, of course, from there.
But we looked over. We could see the Cuban guards far away and stuff like that.
They have like that, almost that weird demilitarized zone between the troops and the Cubans. I kind of wanted to go in there. Have you been to Cuba? I want to go there.
Not in a long time.
But you've actually been in Cuba?
Beautiful. Beautiful place.
What'd you do there?
My buddy got married there like 30 years ago or something. It's great. Beautiful people, beautiful place.
Does this make you like, when you see stuff going on, like when you see stuff like horrific stuff that's happening, like in like Israel right now, does it make you want to go like, I want to go down and talk to some of these people and see, like, does it give you that curiosity after you start experiencing these things that other people don't get the opportunity to?
This one scares me.
It does, right?
Yeah, this one scares me. I don't usually get a little timid like that, but this one scares me. The unknown.
Is that what it is? The unknown?
You know, yeah, this one hit me a little different. It's not the military.
Right.
It's a whole other thing.
Right.
Had you been there to that? Like, not. I mean, not even Israel, but to that part of Israel.
I haven't been to that part of Israel. I think I got pretty close. I've done a bunch of shows around those smaller areas of Israel, but I don't think I've been. I'm quite sure I haven't been to Gaza.
Is there any place you've tried to go really hard that you just haven't gotten into? Like there's something you wanted to do. Like you managed to do a jail, you managed to do police, you managed to do the border. Is there one that you were like, fuck, I want this, and it just couldn't happen?
Not yet. That's a good question. No, not yet. So far, the missions I've tried, the attempt is the win, you know? And even if it doesn't... I don't know. What would be a good next one?
I have no ability to conceptualize stuff like that. I think it's so ballsy to do it, though. Like, I see those gigs, I'm like, I wouldn't want to do that if somebody else set it up and was... Just all I had to do was perform. But the fact that you set it up and you go through all the fucking legwork and getting it done, it's just crazy to me. Like, it's just... my mind doesn't work that way. I can't do it.
Where's your ideal place to perform?
Cellar. The Cellar or the Fat Black around the corner. I mean, I love that. I love Boston. But I mean, city-wise?
Yeah.
I love Boston. But I mean, the Comedy Cellar is my favorite place.
Yeah, so good.
So that's also spoken like a true person who's at the end of their career. The Cellar, just where they book me.
Same place I go every night. That's where I want to go.
I'm trying this new room that's beautiful for the comedy festival called The Venue. Have you been there?
No, I know where the Hard Rock Hotel is.
It's like right around the corner, right?
Yeah, it's just a couple blocks from here. But
okay.
I took a tour of it to see what it was like, and I'm used to playing like brick and mortar danky comedy clubs, and suddenly this looks like a place that Barry Manilow would perform. It's like very
nice.
Beautiful, and there's a big screen.
Oh wow!
So I can project my backgrounds behind me.
Oh, that's cool.
So if I talk about being, in my bedroom in the 70s, I can show a picture of it.
How do you have like a little a controller, and do you have any ability to jump around, or it's got to be in order?
It's got to be in order. My buddy Steven Kessler has been helping me with the visuals, and I'm still putting them together, but it adds a dimension of you're there kind of to it. And, I like a fancy setting for a one-man show type thing. I think it'll feel very New York Comedy Festival.
Yeah, that's nice. So you have the guy doing all the video stuff, or is he working off a laptop? Like, if you wanted to move things, put the pictures.
Oh, yeah. No, I skipped something last night, and he was able to adjust. I was doing, like, run-throughs last night.
How do you feel doing something so personal now? Because, like, you were the roast guy for so long, and that's about them, right? That's not about you at all. Now it's like, I'm going to go ahead and expose everything.
It's a great question, Sam. In the beginning, I was not comfortable with it. I was following the uncomfortable feeling of it. I went back and I looked at a similar show with the same title I did in the mid-90s as a young comic. And it was really good. I was like, no one really saw this. I did it a few times at a few festivals about my grandfather and my parents and early days of stand-up. And then the roast hit that year. So I just kind of left the show in the dust. It's like, I don't want to be digging up these graves every night. It's too much. I didn't have the emotional stability to do it consistently. Then when I lost my buddies right in a row that we talked about, Gilbert and Bob, I was like, let me go back and look at what I did back then with loss and mourning. And I realized a lot of my newer material was also on the life and death tip. And I was like, oh, wow, I see a common theme happening 30 years later. Let me see if I can sew it all together. And I started doing it. And like I said, I'd have these little blind spots where I'd either get uncomfortable or go for a cheap joke just to get out of talking about my parents' death and stuff like that. And then I had a breakthrough doing one of these run-throughs for a small crowd, unannounced. And people started coming up to me afterwards telling me this made me feel this way about my family, or this made me feel this way about my dog that's sick, or my uncle that's dying, or my own health. And I realized, oh, okay, now I have a motivation that's not about me. It's like the roast, about them. It's cathartic for them.
That's interesting.
How much time do you put in between laughs? Like that, because one man show, you can have a time in between laughs. Do you let it do you feel a pressure to get to a joke, or are you like, this was 3 minutes where there's no laughs and it's fine?
I don't feel a pressure, but I guess the pressure builds. I like the pressure building. And the reason I like it building is that it allows me to say things I might not normally say in a regular stand-up comedy club environment. So you get to peel the onion a little bit and layer the emotion and really walk through what you're thinking. And the crowds, I can see that they're listening intently on the story. And when I know, because I've been working on it, that I have a pressure valve release in the form of a joke or a funny part of the story, I think of it as fishing. Like, how far do I want to reel this out before I bring them back in? And when it's a really profound thought and I have a really good banger laugh at the end, I can go pretty far. And I tried a couple out this week, and it's coming together. I'm pretty fucking psyched for this show, and I'm not a big like, oh, come see me, but this one I think is going to move people. Like I said, it's a communal, cathartic experience.
It's weird too, because it is so personal. If people, bombing is one thing, but what would be considered bombing with a one-man show? If you have serious, like, is it that would it be disinterest, or would it be
just looking at eyes glazed over?
Yeah, like what would be considered?
To me, it's if it's me, I, when I see a one-person show, I tune out. It's funny, it's interesting to hear someone's story, but the fascinating part for me is always, what's the takeaway? What's the wisdom behind it? And, with this show, the win for me is you know how it is. You do your show, and then everybody tells you how funny you were, and that was so fun to hear that, and I haven't seen my husband laugh that much in a year, and we feel so good after your show, and that's why we do it. With this show, people are getting all that, plus they're talking about it in terms of their own lives and parents and grandparents and kids and dogs afterwards. So it's kind of like a take-home. There's a take-home to it. And that's what's really lifting me up and allowing me to go deeper and talk about things that I'm not comfortable with, because I know that there's a greater good, a bigger win that's more than just me.
I think it's really cool that for a long time you were the roast guy. That was your thing, the roast master. You're the roast guy.
I'm okay with that.
But I feel like, and I don't know if you intended for it to happen or if it was a surprise, that a whole wave of people started to know you as the bumping mics guy. I feel like that the bumping mics took on a complete life of its own, and that I think nowadays there's a lot of comedy fans that's actually what they now know you from. That had to feel good when it started happening.
To me, I mean, don't get me started. Being in bumping mics is like, for me, being in the Ramones. I mean, fucking David Tell.
Yeah.
I can't even believe, I get to, play tennis with John McEnroe.
Yeah.
And we pop up even when we're not touring. If you stay up late enough downtown at the Comedy Cellar, you'll see us. We went on last month 3 or 4 nights in a row, 1:30 in the morning. No one knows. We'll do 30, 40 minutes.
That's awesome.
It's not just fun for the crowd, but I walk out of there half an inch taller, especially compared to Dave. And it's just so much fun. It's like jokes per minute. It's like so punk rock but the real win is and this I think goes for Dave a little bit too, you surprise your audience. They think they know you for one thing, like you say, the roast, and then suddenly I'm on a team doing a different kind of comedy where we're working off each other. And then sort of as the pandemic was opening up again, Dave and I talked, and he was like, yeah, I can't come there and you can't come here. So we just started working on our own acts. And when we get together, we'll mix them up just for fun and make each other laugh. We just did a pickup gig, I think, in California that we owed, and we just made when we haven't seen each other in a long time, we really make each other laugh on stage, especially him making me laugh. And I think then we kind of said, well, let's just both do solo projects while we're here, while we're doing this sort of post-pandemic touring. And now he has an amazing new hour, and I feel like I'm getting there too. So I think when these are over, we'll probably circle back
and do it again.
What festival could we do where all our friends are going to be there, and people are constantly encouraging us and asking us what's next for Bumping Mics.
That's one of the things too that's so cool about it is you can totally tell just as a viewer that you guys have been doing this for so long, and you've found this thing that you're having fun. Like you're clearly just having fun, and it's like, yeah, that's why anybody who's a comedian, that's why they should be getting into it to begin with, because it's fun.
I see Bumping Mike's parodies online, and like Bumping Dicks. These two gay guys are every time they get a laugh, they hug, they make out, like they dress like us, and people dress like us for Halloween, and it's like being in a rock band.
It's awesome.
And David Tell, I mean, it's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm in a band with Joe Walsh or something. Like he just kicks it up when Dave joins in. Like the whole thing kicks into another gear, and I also just love him, you know?
Yeah.
The funniest guy.
Do you ever wish you had kids? I'm fine not having them, but do you ever think like, because you're a much more family-oriented person than I am.
That's a tricky one. Yeah, I do.
You kind of wish you did, or you think you might?
Both.
Really?
I know it sounds crazy in my 50s, but it's still kind of out there for me. Yeah, it's something that comes up a lot in my thoughts and my relationships.
It wouldn't surprise me for someone like you because, like, you've done it all, right? It's like, what's the next adventure?
I need a funny sidekick for when David Tell retires.
But you have a desire. That's it. I just never had a desire.
Why is that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. No real. I don't know why I don't. Just never. I don't hate them. I just. Never has been one of those things that I wanted to do.
It's not something I think about all the time, because if I did, I'm sure I would have a couple.
Right.
But it's something that, you know, it's like kids. It's kind of like the way my parents, like not having parents, like every now and then when I'm backstage. I remember Patrice O'Neill one time, we were doing a gig and his mom came backstage. We were doing Comics Come Home in Boston. And his mom came backstage to see him. And he was in a grumpy mood, whatever it was, but she came back to see him, and he just lit up. And she lit the whole room up for all of us. She was like all our mom in that moment. And I remember telling him how funny he was and da-da-da-da, just kind of making him feel good. And I got jealous. I was like, man, I kind of miss that. My parents would have really loved all this. They would have loved coming backstage and telling me how funny I was, even if I wasn't. And I feel like now it's starting to come around with the kids thing, where a lot of my friends are having kids. And, you know, my buddy was telling me the other day how his kids are teenagers now, and they finally saw one of his movies, and they were blown away. And I was like, that must be really gratifying.
Yeah, I mean, almost everyone I know has kids. I mean, it's the age we're at, you know, except for Troy. He's like the last holdout.
Yeah, and Troy's not the role model that you want to follow.
But when he does have a kid, he has a rattle on his chin.
No, but I just get curious if guys in our, like, because Colin doesn't have kids. Like, there's very few people I know who don't. So I just wonder, is it a choice or like, no, I'm still thinking about it.
Well, I mean, it's never too late for guys, but it also looks kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I never blame people who don't.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's probably a better decision if you don't have a thing that is going like, yeah, this is something I want to do. To just do it is not a good thing.
A lot of people do, though.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
A lot of people do. They just do because that's the natural order of things. And all right, she wants one. So
and when they're younger, they do. They're not ready for it.
Right.
They don't want to do it. It's a bad thing. And
I was in a
kids
relationship
suffer.
and she didn't want to have him. So that surprised me when you think somebody's personality would be that, and then they don't want that at all.
How long was it a new relationship, or was it like long term before you figured it out?
It was long term, but I always kind of knew that she didn't want him.
Oh, and you just kind of lived with it.
Yeah, I kind of live with it, which makes me think, all right, I'm not really fighting for that.
Yeah.
What were you hoping she'd change her mind?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes people hope that the other person changes their mind. and I know I would never.
Never.
No. Zero. Like, I've never desired anything less.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you're like maybe the most paranoid single person that I know. You'd be a wreck. I couldn't imagine if you were responsible for other lives, not just your own. You'd be a total wreck. I mean, who knows? Maybe it would change you and you wouldn't be like that. But if you remained in the state that you're in, yeah, you'd be a wreck.
Everyone says it's amazing. Like people who have it, I know it's something that I don't understand because I haven't done it, so I can't. I know my perspective on it is shit. I'm always curious about other people's.
Why is it shit?
Meaning knowing what it's like to have a kid, I have no perspective. So like people say it's the greatest joy, and I'm like, to me, I'm like, ugh. But they all say it.
But like, I don't have any idea what it's like to be able to just do whatever I want for as long as you guys have been able to do it. That's also a different perspective, right?
I guess.
Like, it's like I can sit here and be like, no, it's the greatest thing in the world. And you're like, actually, you know what's really great? Not doing that.
Right.
You know?
Going to the SNL after party until 7 a.m.
Right. That's awesome. I'm like,
right.
yeah.
But you have a kid, you've got to go home at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the freedom thing is intense, but I'm also like, I've done it all. So,
right.
You know, like, I'm kind of like, what's next? The other part about it is this kind of like circles back to the early part of the conversation, which is, I guess I was always afraid to manifest something like that because things that I've loved that much have either disappointed me or died suddenly. So I go, let me just take it day by day and maybe not.
Don't put too much stock into anything.
Right.
Because it's going to go away.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. Because you're family oriented, which is why I thought of it. Like Troy doesn't strike me as that type person. I'm not that type.
I had a miserable childhood, so I don't want to bring anybody into this world to deal with what I dealt with.
Fair enough.
By the way, that he should be your show announcer. And
oh, Troy.
I do love that perspective though, because you do like socially. Everybody goes like, "Oh, you should have kids," and you just be like, "No, I had a miserable childhood, and I would never do that to anybody."
That doesn't mean your kids have to.
No, but the people that I see that have kids have had good childhoods, and they want to.
But you have a fun life now.
Yeah, but
you could bring somebody into your fun life.
Ah, fuck that. I'm good. Just ride it out to the end by myself.
Do you not want to lose freedom? I also don't want to lose the freedom to do whatever I want. Like you said, I'm not that I do anything great, but I mean, I like to be able to do what I want and never have to think of it.
I mean,
a lot of my friends with kids do whatever they want if they have some means. You know?
Yeah, I've never felt like I didn't have freedom. Yeah, but also, you know, I also would never feel like my kids were a hindrance because you want to take care of them. You want to.
How many do you
provide
have?
for them. We have 2, and they're great. It's the best. But also, like I do this, hang out with you guys, get to go to wrestling shows, get to do, you know, I mean, I still live the same life with that as well.
Yeah, I guess so. I just curious.
I just loved it.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
Which right now we don't have a lot of responsibility beyond our careers and our family.
Pay bills, get it done.
Right. It's more bills. There's a lot of responsibility because you're paying for somebody, like you're providing somebody,
and you have to guide somebody. You have to.
Yes.
You're like the guide for their life.
Yes,
you'd be good at that. You know what airline to fly.
That is true. No, fucking take the window. You can look at the wing and turbulence.
Dad's talking about airplanes again. I don't know. Dad's talking about turbulence in planes. We don't even fly anywhere. I don't know why he keeps bringing this up.
I'd be a neurotic. I'd make somebody neurotic. Not on purpose. I think
you'd have a little ball jersey ball buster. It would be the best.
Little blinking creep. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, you'd never let your kids hang out at their friend's house without supervision. Certainly wouldn't let them go, yeah, we're just going to go play under the porch. No.
Yeah,
I know what happens.
You learn from certain
I know what
things.
happens.
Yeah.
No.
Good luck with the show, man. That's really, I admire these gigs you do a lot.
It means so much,
awesome.
buddy. You've always been on my team, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. I just think that they're hard. They're hard gigs. They're
what, like one man shows specific,
but
or
just the collection of gigs he's done, the collection of creative endeavors, whether it's kind of bringing these roasts to Comedy Central or
Bumping
the
Mics
gigs we talked about.
yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about Bumping Mics too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
another thing.
Somebody brought up Vital, Bumping Mike's album for me to sign the other day. And I thought, this is so badass.
That's
man.
awesome.
It made me so happy. I felt like I'm in a band.
Wait, there's an album?
There's a double album that they put out at some point. It looks really good. Bumping Mike's.
How many did you guys do on Netflix?
3 episodes. And then we were about to do 3 more when the pandemic hit. And then we just put it all on hold.
Would they still do them?
Probably somebody would do them.
But it's so cool that it feels like a band, but also fans treat it almost like a band. You know what I mean? Where they'll get the vinyl, where they'll watch the episodes. If you guys were just going on tour as Bumping Mics, people would follow you. It's such a cool thing.
We would play, but we both do really well on our own. But when we come together, we play much bigger venues and casinos, and But Dave's a creature of habit. He likes to go to Helium and bring his 4 openers and make a little party for himself, and so.
He likes clubs. Dave likes club. Like, he sells out. He can easily do theaters whenever he wants.
Sure.
But he loves to be a club comic, and he sells out and he murders. But I've talked to him many times, and he's just like, yeah, I love the clubs. He just loves them.
You don't have to fly every day. When you're doing theaters, you got to move every day.
That's true.
He likes to move into whatever club it is, whatever city, for 3 or 4 days, set up camp essentially, and invite his buddies to do the shows with him.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't think of that. You do have to travel when you're doing different different gigs. There is that. That's the annoying part. It's not fun.
It's a little bit more get up and go every day.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying. It's supposed to be fun.
Dave's notorious. We always have a big dinner after our shows, and he always, he always orders a bunch of crazy amount of appetizers, and then when they come, he's outside smoking the whole time. And then he comes back and he eats cold onion rings.
I've very rarely seen him eat a meal. In all the years I've known him, I have not seen him. I've been on the road with him too. I've not seen him eat many
he can
meals.
Fuck up a hamburger, buddy. He's a late night. He eats like 1 meal a day, and he loves food. He doesn't eat till after the show.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you realize you know people a long time, and you're like, I've never done that with this person.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to go out for burgers in the middle of the night anymore. You're trying to keep yourself slim.
Yeah, I know, but still, I have to watch him.
You would?
Yeah, sure.
He's very generous. He always wants to pick up the check for all the comics, and
he's great. He's great with wounded people too. Like, you talk about wounded people. I was doing gigs with him and I think Bill and Brewer at one point. We went to the Pentagon and we saw like all these wounded warriors, and it's awkward because you don't know what to say. And Dave was just fucking great. Like, he just went in and started joking and let me see your scar. Like, people were he made people comfortable. What happened to you? Like, shit like that. But he talked to people like people, and he just made them comfortable.
Yeah.